First, I signed the papers that killed my company under flickering lights. 12 hours later, my family disowned me. I thought that was the end. But a dying billionaire left me his entire empire and a file that could destroy the people who raised me. Now I have to choose justice or family. And the worst part? It all started with the software I built. My name is Avery Lockwood. I am 32 years old. And tonight, I am the founder and CEO of nothing. The pen scratches against the cheap, thin paper. Dissolution, Chapter 7, Liquidation. The legal terms blur under the single fluorescent light that flickers above the conference table. It casts a sick, greenish glow on my hands. This room, once the buzzing nerve center of Luminar Ledger, is now a tomb. The server racks in the corner are dark, their usual comforting hum replaced by a silence so heavy it feels like pressure in my ears. The air is stale, smelling of cold coffee, ozone, and the distinct metallic scent of failure. I push the signed document across the polished veneer table to the bankruptcy trustee. He's a gray man in a gray suit, and I cannot for the life of me remember his name. He nods, not unkindly, just efficiently. He stacks the papers, clicks his briefcase shut. It is done. I lost the lawsuit. They said I committed data fraud. They said the very algorithms I wrote, the code I designed to hunt financial predators and expose sophisticated corruption, had been used to perpetrate a massive crime. They said I did it, and the court, armed with neatly packaged logs and falsified emails, believed them. It was a setup. I know it in my bones, but knowing does not stop the ink from drying. I lean my head against the cold glass of the office window, looking down 20 floors to the empty streets of Ridgeport. It must be past 2 a.m. 6 months ago, just 6 months, I was standing in this exact spot, but the room was packed with my team, the air electric. We had just closed our Series B funding, $40 million. The press was calling Luminar Ledger the future of ethical auditing. Forbes had put me on a cover, calling me the game changer of Finance Street. We were the good guys. We were building a shield. We were going to make the monsters accountable. I remember the sound of champagne corks popping, the cheers, the look of pride on my lead engineer's face. Now, my corporate inbox is a graveyard. I scrolled through it one last time before the trustee shut it down. Subject lines screamed in digital red: termination of contract, breach of terms, legal action pending. The headlines flash behind my eyelids, seared there like a brand. Avery Lockwood, hero to fraud. Luminar Ledger's ethical facade crumbles. The Lockwood Scions' great deception. They did not just disagree with me. They eviscerated me. They destroyed my reputation, my company, and my life's work in less than 72 hours. The clients, the ones who had praised our transparency, vanished. The investors cited ethics clauses to pull their funding. There is no appeal. There is no road back. There is only the bottom. My hands are shaking, a fine tremor I cannot control. I grab my keys from the empty desk, the metal cold against my clammy palm. There is one last option, one I swore to myself, years ago, I would never take. I walk out of the conference room, my heels clicking too loudly in the cavernous, empty office. I do not look at the etched glass logo of Luminar Ledger on the lobby doors. I cannot. The rain starts the moment I step outside, a cold Oregon downpour that feels personal. I get into my car, not the sleek electric sports car that was leased, the first asset liquidated, but my old college sedan. I pull out of the garage and drive through the sleeping city, leaving the glass towers of downtown behind. I head up into Northcrest Heights, the neighborhood suspended above the city, where the air is cleaner, the gates are higher, and the problems are dealt with in private, preferably by lawyers. The Lockwood family mansion, my childhood home. I am driving there to beg. My stomach clenches so hard I taste acid. I am not begging for myself. I need money. I need it to cover the final payroll that is set to bounce tomorrow. I need it to pay the severance I owe the team I failed. And I need it to hire a real forensic team, a group not tied to the court, to find the proof that this was a setup, to clear my name. I need my family. Swallowing this pride feels like swallowing broken glass. The massive, wrought iron gates slide open, the sensors recognizing my car. They have not cut that off. Yet, the house is blazing with light, a beacon of obscene wealth against the dark. Rainy hills. They are not asleep. They are waiting. I am shown to the study. The room smells exactly as it always has. Old leather, expensive cigars, and quiet, suffocating judgment. My father, Graham Lockwood, is exactly where I knew he would be. Behind the massive 19th century mahogany desk, a fortress of polished wood, he does not stand up. He just swirls the amber liquid in his heavy crystal glass. He is the chairman and CEO of Lockwood Equity Partners, a kingdom built on calculated risk and identifying weakness. Tonight, I am the weakest thing he has ever seen. Avery, he says. His voice is flat, not angry, not sad. It is the voice he uses for a stock that has just dropped 3 points, a disappointment, a loss to be managed. My mother, Lillian Lockwood, glides in from the adjoining sitting room. Her platinum blonde hair is perfect. Her ivory silk robe is immaculate. Her face is a smooth, beautiful mask of practiced concern, but her eyes, her sharp blue eyes, are all business, calculating. "Oh, darling," she murmurs, stopping a good 5 feet away from me, as if I might be contagious. "What a dreadful mess. It is all over the financial news." "It's a lie," I say. My voice is hoarse, and I hate how weak it sounds. "I did not do it. I was framed. Someone got into the core system." The words tumble out, frantic, desperate. The data was manipulated. The evidence they used in court, it was planted. I saw the logs. They were altered. But I could not prove how in time. It was an inside job, or a sophisticated hack. I just need time. I need a loan, a bridge loan, to pay my people, to hire investigators, to fight this. I look from my father's impassive face to my mother's carefully curated worry. "Avery," Lillian says, her voice laced with the faint, weary condescension of someone dealing with a hysterical child. "We are talking about the headlines. We are talking about the reputation. I am talking about the truth." "The truth," my father cuts in, his voice like chipping ice, "is what people believe. And right now, they believe you are a fraud." Graham sets his whiskey glass down with a heavy, final thud. He taps a button on his desk console, a massive screen, seamlessly integrated into the dark wood bookcase, flickers to life. It is not a stock ticker. It is me. A clip from a cable news finance show, a panel of 4 experts, tearing me apart. The arrogance of these tech founders. She flew too close to the sun. Lockwood name or not. She is finished. He clicks it off. The silence that rushes back in is heavier this time, suffocating. "You come here," he says, leaning forward, his voice dangerously low. "To my house, which funds my business, a business built on trust, and you ask me to bail you out?" He shakes his head, a small, tight motion of disbelief. "Do you have any idea what my investors would say? What our partners would think? Graham Lockwood, pouring good money after bad, into his own daughter's criminal enterprise?" "It is not criminal," I shout, my hands balling into fists. "The court says it is," he replies, "and in our world, that is the only thing that matters. You have become a liability, Avery, a significant one." "Graham, please," Lillian intercedes, placing a perfectly manicured hand on his shoulder. She looks at me. This is it. This is the moment she steps in, softens him, finds the solution. "We have," she says, her voice smoothing into its familiar boardroom-ready PR tone, "prepared a solution, a way to manage the optics." Manage the optics, not help my daughter. "We must protect the brand," Lillian continues, her gaze unwavering. "Lockwood Equity cannot, and will not, be associated with this. It is an image problem, Avery, and we are solving it." My father opens a dark leather folder on his desk and slides a single sheet of paper toward me. "We will be releasing this to the press in the morning," my mother explains. I do not need to read the whole thing. The heading at the top says enough. Lockwood Family Statement regarding Avery Lockwood. "It will state," Lillian says, as if reciting a script she memorized, "that you have been operating independently of the family for some time, that we are, of course, deeply disappointed in these developments, and that, effective immediately, you have been disassociated from all family holdings and trusts." I stare at her. The blood drains from my face. Disassociated? You mean disowned? "It is a cleaner term," she says, waving a dismissive hand, as if swatting away an unpleasant smell. "It severs the connection cleanly. It protects the family name. It protects us." My breath catches. This is not a rescue. This is an execution. "Wait," I whisper. "The trust? Grandma's trust?" "That is the second part," Graham says. He pulls another set of documents from the folder. This one is thicker, heavy legal paper. "This is a waiver. You will sign it, voluntarily relinquishing all present and future claims to the Lockwood Family Trust. You will also sign this non-disclosure agreement, binding you to silence regarding all family business you have ever been privy to." You are cutting me off?" The sheer stupidity of the question hits me as I say it. "We are cauterizing a wound, Avery," Graham says, his eyes like polished stones. "You did this. We are cleaning it up." "And if I do not sign?" My father leans back, steepling his fingers. He almost smiles. "If you do not sign, we do not release that statement. Instead, I will use every resource I have, every journalist on my payroll, every favor I am owed, to confirm the media's narrative. I will bury you. I will make sure you are never hired again, not even to file papers in a back office. I will feed them stories about your troubled university days, your reckless business practices. By the time I am finished, you will wish you were only a fraud." The threat hangs in the air, thick and toxic. Lillian steps forward, her mask of concern finally dropping to reveal the cold, hard steel beneath. "Sign it, Avery. It is the only way. We give you a clean break. We do not actively destroy you. You just cease to be a Lockwood. It is for the best." I look at the document. My hands are numb. My whole body is numb. I came here for a life raft, and they handed me an anchor. I see the signature line at the bottom. Avery Lockwood. That name. The name that opened every door. The name that was my armor, my privilege, my identity. And now, I have to sign it away to stop them from murdering me in the press. I pick up the heavy, gold-plated pen from his desk. My vision tunnels. All I can hear is the sound of the rain lashing against the windows and the faint, steady tick-tock of the grandfather clock in the hall. I sign my name. I sign away my birthright. I sign away my past. I slide the papers back across the desk. "Good," Graham says. He closes the folder. A final, definitive sound. The meeting is over. I am no longer his problem. I am no longer his anything. I turn and walk out of the study. Lillian does not say goodbye. Graham has already picked up his whiskey glass. I feel like I've had the air sucked from my lungs. I just lost my company. And now, I have lost my name. It feels like a designer label being ripped off a coat, leaving nothing but ugly stitching and a raw, gaping hole where it used to be. I am in the grand marble foyer, my hand on the massive, carved front door. When my father's voice rises from the study, he must have picked up the phone the second I left the room. The door is thick, but he is not trying to be quiet. "It is handled," he says, his voice sharp with command. "She signed everything. No, she is out. Completely." A pause. I stop, my hand frozen on the cold brass knob. "It cost more than I liked, but the luminar problem is neutralized," he continues. "Now we can accelerate the next phase. Yes, the Vale Holdings deal. With her damned algorithm out of the way. They have no way to trace the asset movement now. It is perfect. We move next week." Vale Holdings. The name hits me like a physical blow. Vale Holdings, a massive, aging industrial conglomerate, a dinosaur. I ran their data through the Luminar system about 8 months ago. Just as a test case, the algorithm flagged something, a series of strange, deeply buried shell corporations, funneling money in a way that looked exactly like a slow-motion hostile takeover attempt. But I could never pinpoint the source. It was one of the anomalies I was investigating when the lawsuit hit me from nowhere. My father is talking about it, with her algorithm out of the way. A cold, sickening dread washes over me, cutting through the shock, my collapse, the lawsuit, the planted data. It was not random. It was not a competitor. I pull the heavy oak door open and step out into the downpour. The rain is ice cold, soaking through my blazer in seconds, but I barely feel it. I was not just a liability to be managed. I was an obstacle to be removed. I stumble to my car, my mind racing, trying to connect dots that are still too far apart. I feel like I just fell off a cliff, but as I was falling, I realized I was not just pushed, I was pushed by my own family, and I have absolutely no idea why. It has been 5 weeks. 5 weeks since I signed my name and walked out of the Lockwood mansion into the rain. 5 weeks since I ceased to exist. My new home is a 400-square-foot studio apartment in East Ridgeport. The neighborhood smells of damp pavement and fried food. My front door, painted appealing, sickly yellow, has 3 separate deadbolts, and I use all of them. My old high-rise condo, with its floor-to-ceiling windows and view of the city, was sold in 2 days. My art, my furniture, my car, all liquidated. The money went, every last cent, to a trust to cover the final payroll and severance for my team. I could not save their jobs, but I refused to let them starve because of me. Now, my apartment contains a mattress on the floor, a second-hand card table I use as a desk, and 6 file boxes filled with Luminar's non-proprietary archives, the ones I was allowed to keep. Freefall is not a sudden, screaming drop. It is a slow, grinding descent. It is the daily, methodical erasure of who you thought you were. I have sent out 142 job applications: Director of Analytics, Senior Risk Consultant, Freelance Data Auditor. I even applied for an entry-level coding position at a company that makes banking apps. The responses are a masterclass in polite rejection. 90% are digital silence. The other 10% are variations of, "While your qualifications are impressive, we feel you are not the right fit at this time." Right fit? It is the corporate code for, "Your name is radioactive, and our legal team flagged you in 0.5 seconds. I did get one interview. One, a mid-level data firm, desperate for anyone who understood predictive algorithms. I put on my one remaining good suit, which now hangs a little loosely on my frame. I sat in a beige conference room. The VP of Operations, a nervous man named David, looked at my resume like it was a winning lottery ticket. For 10 minutes, I was Avery Lockwood, expert, again. We talked code. We talked market vulnerabilities. I saw him get excited. Then, at the end, he cleared his throat, his eyes dropping to his notes. "So, just a formality. Avery, this Luminar ledger business, the lawsuit." He did not look at me. He looked at his desk. "I was framed," I said, my voice steady, practiced. "The data was planted. I am working on an appeal." Right. He tapped his pen. Then he swiveled his monitor toward me. On the screen was one of the articles, the ugliest one, the one with the unflattering photo of me leaving the courthouse, headlines screaming about my great deception. He finally met my eyes. The excitement was gone. He just looked tired. "Why should we trust you?" he asked, his voice quiet, almost apologetic. "When literally no one else in this city will?" The interview was over. I tried the freelance route, looking for small-time contract work from local businesses, the kind of analysis I could do in my sleep. I landed 2 small gigs. Both were canceled within 24 hours. The first one, the owner called me himself. "I am sorry, Ms. Lockwood. Our legal department just got back to us. They say we cannot engage with anyone on a reputation risk list. It is an insurance thing, you understand. I understood. My father's threat was not an empty one. He did not even have to actively bury me. He just had to let the system he mastered do its work. I was not just disowned, I was blacklisted. My only contact with the world I used to know is Nora James. She was my friend in law school, before I dropped out for tech. She is a partner at a small tech law firm now, sharp and principled. We met for coffee last week at a hole-in-the-wall diner 5 miles from either of our old neighborhoods. She slid a file across the vinyl tabletop, keeping her voice low. I looked at the judgment, Avery, like you asked. And? It is clean, she said, and she did not mean it as a compliment. It is too clean. The evidence logs are perfect. The chain of custody on the servers, flawless. The timestamp on the fraudulent data insertion is logged, verified, and locked. No one is that good. Not even the feds. It is like someone built a perfect little box of evidence and handed it to the prosecutor. A setup, I said, my coffee growing cold. A setup is messy, Nora countered, tapping her fingers. This is a work of art. Whoever did this is a ghost. They knew your system as well as you did. I cannot find a single thread to pull. Avery, I am sorry. There is no legal angle here, not without new evidence. She paid the bill. As we left, she squeezed my arm. Be careful, she whispered. This feels big, way bigger than just one failed startup. Now, I know what big is. I remember my father's voice, the Vail Holdings deal. But I have nothing, no access, no platform, no money. The last of my savings is gone. The checking account I opened under my name, just Avery, no Lockwood, has $38.16 in it. The bright orange final notice envelope from the electric company is on the card table. Unopened. I know what it says. I have started skipping dinner. I tell myself it is intermittent fasting, a trendy tech biohack. It is a lie. It is just called being poor. My phone rings. It is an unknown number, and my heart leaps, thinking, a job. Hello? Is this Avery? The voice is young, hesitant. Luca? My throat tightens. My younger brother, the golden boy, the one who followed the path, who went straight to Lockwood Equity after his MBA. Avery, hi. He sounds like he's in a closet. Listen, I cannot talk long. Luca, I am in trouble. I need to know something. Does Dad have any dealings with Vail Dynamics? Vail Holdings? There is a sharp intake of breath on his end. What? Why? Just tell me. Is he involved? I cannot talk about this. Avery, you know I cannot. I am not asking about firm business. Luca, I am asking as your sister. I was framed. I think Dad was involved. I heard him say something the night. Stop, Luca cuts in, his voice suddenly cold. Suddenly, theirs. Just stop. You chose this. You chose to go against him. Build that thing of yours. You embarrassed us. It was not a thing. It was my life's work. And I did not embarrass anyone. I was attacked. I cannot have this conversation, he says, his voice strained. I am not supposed to be in contact with you. Mom was very clear. I called to see if you were okay, but you are still on this. Just let it go. Avery, move to Seattle. Start over. This fight is, you cannot win it. So you are just going to let them do this? You believe them? A long, terrible silence stretches over the line. It does not matter what I believe, he whispers. I have to go. The line clicks dead. He did not even say goodbye. The silence in my apartment is deafening. I drop the phone on the mattress. The last door just slammed shut. Bolted from the inside, I am truly, completely alone. That night, I cannot stand the apartment. I cannot breathe the stale air. I grab my keys and get in my car, the old sedan, and I just drive. I do not know where I am going. I just follow the highway out of the city, into the sprawling, dark suburbs. The rain starting up again, a miserable, cold drizzle. I am 20 miles outside Ridgeport when the car sputters. No, 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 no. The engine coughs. The check engine light, which has been on for a week, begins to flash with terminal intensity. The car lurches, shudders, and dies. I coast to a stop on the gravel shoulder of a two-lane road. There are no streetlights. The only illumination is my flashing hazard lights, casting a pathetic orange glow on the wet trees. I try the ignition. Click, 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 nothing. I pull out my phone to call for a tow truck I cannot afford. 1 bar of battery. Low service. I dial. Call failed. I try again. Call failed. And then the screen goes black. I slam my hands against the steering wheel. A raw, guttural sob tears out of my throat. I am sitting in a dead car, in the rain, in the dark, with no money, no family, no job, and a dead phone. This is it. This is the bottom. The absolute, undisputed, rock bottom. My father won. The system won. I should just get out, walk away, leave Ridgeport, and never, ever look back. I put my head down on the steering wheel, the cheap plastic cold against my forehead. I do not cry. I am past crying. I am just empty. 10 minutes pass, maybe 30. The rain drums on the roof. Headlights sweep across my rearview mirror. A car is slowing down. It does not pass me. It pulls up right behind me. A black late-model SUV, the kind government agents or billionaires use. My heart hammers against my ribs. This is it. They are here to finish the job. The accident that was not an accident. My doors are locked. I sink down in my seat, my hand fumbling in the glove box for anything. A tire iron, a wrench. My fingers close around an old, half-used can of pepper spray from college. A car door opens and closes. Footsteps on the gravel. Measured, unhurried. A sharp, polite tapping on my driver's side window. I look up. A woman is standing there, illuminated in the red-orange pulse of my hazard lights. She is in her 50s, maybe 60s, with dark hair pulled back in a severe, elegant bun. She wears a crisp, dark trench coat. She is holding a large black umbrella. She does not look like a hitman. She looks like someone's incredibly efficient, terrifyingly competent executive assistant. I do not roll down the window. She leans in, and her voice cuts through the glass and the rain, calm and clear. Avery Lockwood? I flinch. She used the name no one uses. My name is Marisol Trent, the woman says, holding up a laminated ID. It looks official. I am the executive assistant to Mr. Dorian Vale. Vale. The name hits me like a jolt of electricity. My father's phone call, the Vale Holdings deal. I slowly, fractionally, roll the window down. The rain and cold air rush in. What do you want? My voice is a harsh whisper. Mr. Vale would like to see you. Ms. Lockwood, Marisol Trent says, as if she just asked me for a meeting in a boardroom. As soon as possible, tonight, if you are willing. This is insane. I am on the side of a dead road. How did you find me? We have been looking for you for several days. We were monitoring your car's location through the bank that holds the lien. We saw it stop. My apologies for the intrusion. They were monitoring my car. The chill that runs down my spine has nothing to do with the rain. This is high level. This is not normal. Why? I manage. Why does Dorian Vale want to see me? He does not know me. I stop, unable to say the word. A fraud. A nobody. Marisol Trent's expression does not change, but her eyes seem to soften. Just a fraction. Mr. Vale is aware of your current circumstances. He is also aware of your past work, all of it. Oh. She pauses, then delivers the line that changes everything. He said to tell you, and I quote, "You are the only person who ever told him the truth without needing the credit." My breath hitches. The anonymous report, the one from 10 years ago, the one I sent to the SEC about a dirty takeover attempt, the one that saved Vale Dynamics, the one I never told a single soul I wrote. He knew it was me. I look from Marisol's patient, unreadable face to the black SUV waiting behind my dead car. This is not a coincidence. This is not random. This is the first thing in 5 weeks that has not been a slammed door. My gut, the old analyst's gut, that I thought was dead, screams at me. This is the thread. This is the thread Nora said did not exist. Pull it. My car is dead, I say, the words sounding small, absurd. We are aware, Marisol says. We can have it towed to a garage of your choosing, and we can take you to him. He is waiting. I am wary, I am suspicious, but I am also out of options, and for the first time in a month, I am not just desperate. I am deeply, profoundly curious. I unlock the door. I grab my laptop bag from the passenger seat. It holds the old laptop, the one with all my personal research, and the backup hard drive containing the non-corrupted, original code for Luminar Ledger. It is everything I have left in the world. I sling the bag over my shoulder. My damaged, bruised, but not quite dead pride settles back into place. I step out of my broken-down life and into the rain. All right, I say to Marisol Trent, pulling my blazer tight. Take me to Mr. Vale. The silence in the black SUV is absolute, a heavy, soundproofed void. Marisol Trent drives with a focused, unnerving calm. Her eyes on the road, hands at 10 and 2. We left the city lights of Ridgeport an hour ago. Climbing winding private roads I never knew existed, the rain has given way to a thick, high-altitude fog that presses against the windows, swallowing the headlights. We are not just leaving the city, we are leaving the known world. The vehicle slows, not for a gate, but for a simple, unmarked security checkpoint. A camera I did not see scans the car. A steel barricade I did not notice recesses silently into the pavement. There are no grand, gold-tipped Lockwood gates here, just invisible, impenetrable security. This is not the wealth of display, it is the wealth of disappearance. The fog parts, and the estate emerges. It is not a house, it is a structure, a fortress of dark gray stone, glass and steel, built not on the hill, but into it, cantilevered over a vast black chasm of pine trees. It is brutalist and beautiful, intimidating and stark. My family's mansion was designed to host parties, to be seen. This place was built to watch, and to remain unseen. Marisol leads me inside. The foyer is a cavernous space of polished concrete and raw stone. Soaring 3 stories high, the air is cool and smells faintly of ozone and cedar. The only furniture is a single, massive piece of driftwood that serves as a bench and a wall-sized abstract painting that is mostly black. It is the opposite of the Lockwood home, with its suffocating damask wallpaper, gold leaf trim, and portraits of ancestors we barely knew. This place is not a home, it is a statement. We walk down a long hallway, our footsteps echoing on the stone. The silence is heavy, broken only by the faint digital chime of a security panel Marisol touches. She leads me to a wing of the house that feels different. The air is warmer here, scrubbed clean, and carries the low, steady hum of machinery. She stops at a heavy, soundproof door and opens it without knocking. The room is a state-of-the-art intensive care unit. One wall is a bank of medical monitors, their blue and green lights tracing steady, rhythmic lines, oxygen concentrators, filtration systems, and IV racks stand like silent sentinels. In the center of it all is a bed, a complex machine of tubes and adjustable platforms. In the bed lies a man. He is impossibly thin, his skin like pale parchment stretched taut over a delicate frame. He must be over 70. He looks frail enough to be blown away by a strong breath. This is Dorian Vale. Then, he turns his head toward me. His eyes are not frail. They are a shocking, bright, icy blue. They are ferociously intelligent, completely alert, and burning with an intensity that seems to belie the wreck of the body they inhabit. They are the eyes of a man who has built and broken empires, and they are looking right through me. Mr. Vale, Marisol says softly. This is Avery Lockwood. Thank you, Marisol, that will be all. Please wait outside. His voice is a dry rasp, thin as paper, but carrying an unmistakable authority. Marisol nods once and vanishes, the heavy door sealing shut with a pneumatic sigh, leaving me alone with the dying billionaire. Ms. Lockwood. He gestures with a thin, blue-veined hand to a single, hard-backed chair placed an uncomfortable distance from the bed. Please, sit. Thank you for coming at such an inhospitable hour. I do not sit. I clutch the strap of my laptop bag, the pepper spray still in my coat pocket. My heart is hammering. How did you find me? Why did you know my bank balance? What is going on? A faint, dry smile ghosts across his thin lips. I know a great deal about you, Avery, more than you know about yourself. Perhaps I know you graduated from Stanford with honors, top 2% of your class. I know you founded Luminar Ledger with seed money you won in a coding competition, refusing your father's offer of investment. I know your algorithm was designed to find the patterns that human analysts miss. And I know. He pauses, his gaze sharpening, that you have been sending anonymous reports to regulatory bodies since you were 22 years old. The air leaves my lungs. I feel my knees go weak. I do not know what you are talking about. Do you not? He rasps. He lifts a small remote on the large monitor opposite his bed. The one not displaying vital signs. A document appears. Over 10 years ago, Dorian Vale says, his eyes fixed on the screen. A package was sent to the SEC, a data drive, no name, no return address. It contained raw trading logs and a concise 20-page analysis that exposed a coordinated, illegal conspiracy by a group of hedge funds to short Vale Dynamics stock into oblivion. It was an attempt to trigger a margin call that would have forced me to surrender my controlling interest. It was, in short, a dirty takeover. I stare at the screen, my report, the one I spent 3 sleepless weeks on, as a junior analyst at a tiny firm, convinced I was seeing something no one else saw. The SEC, in its infinite wisdom, filed it under pending review. Dorian continues, a note of contempt in his voice. But a second copy was sent, anonymously, to my personal office. I have employed the best analysts in the world for 50 years. Ms. Lockwood. This report was not just good. It was art. The way the data was tagged, the specific methodology of the annotations, the way the analyst connected seemingly random shipping manifests in Panama to shell corporations in the Caymans. It was a signature, a unique cognitive fingerprint. He turns those burning blue eyes back to me. That report saved my company. It saved my life's work. It saved over 30,000 jobs. And the person who wrote it simply vanished. I spent a decade looking for that analyst. I had my internal security team, the best in the world, hunt for that fingerprint in every financial paper, every SEC filing, every doctoral thesis that crossed my desk. He coughs, a dry, racking sound. Then, 6 months ago, I read an article about you, the Wonder Woman of auditing. The profile included a sample of your Luminar code, explaining how your algorithm thinks, and there it was. The same logic, the same structure, the same signature. It was you. I finally sink into the chair, my legs shaking. I was just a kid. I saw something that looked wrong, so I sent it. I did not want to get fired. You did not just see something wrong, he counters, his voice gaining a sudden, fierce strength. You were the only person in a system built on silent complicity who dared to break the rules, who put truth ahead of your career, not for recognition, not for a reward. You did it because it was right. That is true ethics, Ms. Lockwood, not the hollow word executives print in their annual reports. A bitter, sharp laugh escapes my lips before I can stop it. Ethics? Look at me. Mr. Vale, I am a joke. I am the fraud on the cover of the business journals. I lost my company, my reputation, my entire life. That ethics you are admiring is what got me destroyed. No, he says, leaning forward, an immense effort. You are wrong. You were not destroyed because of your ethics. You were attacked because of who your ethics threatened. He fumbles for the remote again. Marisol, audio archive, 39 Alpha. A hiss of static fills the sterile room, and then a voice. I am not sure who else to call. I found something, a series of transactions. They look like they are trying to manipulate the stock of Veil Dynamics. I think it is illegal. I freeze. It is my voice. 10 years ago. Thin, shaking, terrified. It is the call I made to an anonymous corporate watchdog hotline, reading from my findings. I do not know who is behind it all, but the primary fund, the one coordinating the trades, it is called Lockwood Equity Partners. The recording cuts off. The silence that rushes in is suffocating. I stare at Dorian Vale, the blood draining from my face. Lockwood Equity Partners, my father's firm. I did not know, I whisper, the words tasting like ash. I swear, I did not know. I was just a junior analyst. I just saw the name of the fund. It was one of a dozen. I never connected. I never thought my father... I know, Dorian says, his voice softer now. You were just a girl doing the right thing. But they knew, Graham Lockwood and his network. They were the wolves at my door. And you, his own daughter, were the one who shot the flare gun that saved me. The pieces slam into place with sickening force. My father's hatred of Vale, his dismissal of my hobby company, the lawsuit, the timing of the lawsuit, right when Luminar's algorithm was getting powerful enough to see the patterns again. My father's voice on the phone. With her damned algorithm out of the way, the Vale Holdings deal. They are doing it again, I say, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. My father, he destroyed my company, he framed me, he disowned me, all of it. It was to clear the board, to get me out of the way so he could go after you. Yes, Dorian says, a single, tired word. He sinks back into the pillows, the burst of energy gone, leaving him looking even more fragile. But this time, I will not be here to fight him. He takes a shallow, rattling breath. I am dying, Ms. Lockwood. The cancer has won. I have weeks, perhaps a handful of days, and I have spent the last 6 months, ever since I found you, rearranging the board. I will not let my company, my legacy, fall into the hands of parasites like Graham Lockwood. I will not let this world be run by men who believe the law is just an obstacle to be bought or buried. What do you mean? I ask, my voice trembling. What have you done? He just looks at me, that intense, analytical gaze weighing me, measuring me. The door opens silently. Marisol Trent is back. She does not look at her boss. She looks at me. In her hand, she holds a single, heavy stock business card. You have had a long night, Avery, she says. Her voice is no longer just efficient. It is almost kind. There is a guest suite prepared for you. I have already arranged for your car to be towed to a private garage. We will have it repaired. Your old life, the one in that apartment, it is over. You are safe here. She hands me the card. Jasper Cole, ESCO, senior partner. Cole, Ryland, and Finch. Mr. Cole is Mr. Vale's personal attorney, Marisol explains, her voice formal again. He is expecting you at his office tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. He will handle everything from here. I look from the card to Dorian, who has closed his eyes, his breathing shallow. Handle what? Explain what? I look back at Marisol. Her dark eyes are steady, unblinking, and hold a universe of meaning. After tonight, Ms. Lockwood, she says, your life will never be the same, in ways you cannot possibly imagine, for better and for worse. I slept in a guest suite that felt more like a luxury hotel room. All cool grays and silent. Automated curtains. But I did not sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed, my old laptop bag at my feet, and watched the fog burn off the tops of the pine trees, revealing a private, silent valley. Marisol arrived at precisely 8 a.m., not with coffee, but with a fresh set of clothes laid out. simple, dark, expensive trousers and a silk blouse. She said they were from Mr. Vale's guest inventory. I did not ask. Marisol drove me back into Ridgeport in the same silent SUV. We did not go to the flashy mirrored towers of the financial district, where Lockwood Equity occupied 3 floors of shimmering, branded arrogance. We went to a quieter street, to a building of smoked glass and dark steel that seemed to absorb the morning light rather than reflect it. The lobby was silent. The directory a simple, engraved plaque, Cole, Ryland, and Finch, floors 10 to 12. Jasper Cole's office on the 12th floor was less an office and more a minimalist sanctuary. One wall was solid glass overlooking the city, but from a detached, scholarly angle. The other walls were lined with books, not just law books, but philosophy, history, and art. There was no clutter, no personal photos, just a large, clean desk, and the man sitting behind it. Jasper Cole looked to be in his late 60s, with a sharp, intelligent face, silver hair, and an impeccably tailored gray suit. He stood when I entered, a gesture of old-world courtesy my father reserved only for billionaires. "Ms. Lockwood, thank you for coming. I am Jasper Cole. Please, sit." His voice was calm, measured, and carried the same weight as Dorian Vale's. He did not waste time. "I was with Dorian for most of the night," he said, steepling his fingers on the spotless desk. "He passed away, peacefully, just before 6 this morning." The news hit me with a surprising thud. A man I had known for less than 2 hours, a man who knew my entire life. I felt a strange, sudden sense of loss, of an alliance cut short. I am sorry." "He was prepared," Jasper said, his gaze steady. "And he was very specific in his final instructions. I am his executor, and I have in my possession his final, fully executed last will and testament, signed less than 1 month ago, in the full presence of his physicians and a presiding judge." He slid a thick vellum document from a leather folder. Dorian was a man who left nothing to chance. He knew his passing would ignite a firestorm. "I assume you are telling me this because, what, he left me something? Acknowledgement? A check for the old report?" I clutched the strap of my bag. Jasper looked at me, not unkindly. "Dory, and knew you were disinherited. He knew your company was destroyed. He knew your father did it. He did not leave you a token, Ms. Lockwood. He left you an arsenal." He opened the document. "I will read the primary bequest. I, Dorian Alistair Vale, being of sound mind and body, do hereby bequeath the entirety of my estate, including, but not limited to, my full controlling interest of 91% of shares in Vale Dynamics, all subsidiary holdings, all real estate properties domestic and international, all liquid and invested assets, and the full stewardship of the Vale Charitable Trust, to Ms. Avery Lockwood, presently of Ridgeport, Oregon." The room tilted. The hum of the air filtration system suddenly sounded like a roar in my ears. "What?" I whispered. That is impossible. That is insane. I am not his family. I am nobody. He has a son, Miles Vale. Everyone knows Miles is the heir." "Miles Vale was the heir, in a previous version of the will," Jasper said, his voice a flat statement of fact. "Dorian disinherited Miles 3 months ago. You are not nobody. Avery, to Dorian, you were the one person he could trust to understand what his life's work was truly for. He did not leave you his money. He left you his power. The entire empire. It is all yours, effective immediately." I could not breathe. My mind was scrambling, trying to quantify the words. Controlling interest, Vale Dynamics. It was a global industrial conglomerate worth tens of billions of dollars. It was a behemoth. And this man, this calm, gray-suited lawyer, was telling me it was mine. I cannot accept this," I stammered, standing up. "This is a mistake. I am the woman from the fraud articles. I am in debt. I cannot run a corner store, let alone Vale Dynamics. People will say that I manipulated him, His son will tear me apart. The board will eat me alive. Dorian anticipated that, Jasper said, unfazed by my panic. Which brings us to the second item. He reached into a drawer and retrieved a thick 9x12 manila envelope. It was sealed with heavy dark red wax, stamped with a simple V. Written on the front, in what I recognized as Dorian's spidery, forceful handwriting, was a single sentence. Only open when you have decided that you want to know the whole truth. He instructed me to give this to you after you had heard the contents of the will, Jasper said. He said the will gave you the power. This envelope explains the price. My hand was shaking. The whole truth. I thought I knew the truth. My father had framed me to get me out of the way of his veil deal. That was the truth. What more could there be? I looked at Jasper. He gave nothing away. His face was a mask of professional neutrality. The choice was mine. I took the envelope. The wax seal cracked under my thumbnail. Inside were 2 items. The first was a handwritten letter, several pages long, on heavy cream-colored stationery. The second was a document, bound like a legal filing, over an inch thick. The cover page was stark white, with a single line of black text. Confidential. Lockwood. Veil case file. Eyes only. My blood went cold. I unfolded the letter first. Avery, if you are reading this, I am gone, and you are now the wealthiest woman in the state. I apologize for the shock. I do not apologize for the burden. What you suspect about your father is true, but you are only seeing the tip of the spear. What I told you last night, about the attack on my company 10 years ago, was just the beginning. Graham Lockwood did not stop trying to destroy me. He simply got smarter. For the last 7 years, my team has been compiling a file on an alliance of private equity funds, shadow banks, and political fixers. Their goal? To dismantle and liquidate industrial assets like mine. At the center of this alliance, the spider in the web, has always been your father, Graham, and your mother, Lillian, his silent, brilliant PR cleaner. The attached file is the complete record of their activities against me. Not just against me, against others. I looked up from the letter, my heart pounding a sick, slow rhythm. I picked up the bound file. I opened it to the first page. It was not a summary, it was evidence. I saw scanned bank-to-bank wire transfer confirmations, transcripts of phone calls, recorded by an investigator, detailing stock manipulation. I saw copies of consulting contracts between Lockwood Equity and known shell corporations, the very shells my algorithm had been designed to hunt. My eyes scanned the pages, my analyst's brain taking over, processing the data faster than my emotions could keep up. This was not just market manipulation, this was criminal, racketeering, conspiracy. I turned a page and saw a name I recognized, a CEO of a competing materials company. He had died 2 years ago. A single-car accident on a mountain road. The press called it a tragedy. Here, in this file, was a record of a $1 million payment from a Lockwood-controlled offshore account to a security logistics firm with ties to wet work. The payment was dated 3 days before the CEO's accident. I felt the bile rise in my throat. This was what Dorian meant, liquidation, not just of assets, of people. I kept reading. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely turn the pages. Then I saw it, a name I knew. My mother, Lillian Lockwood. It was an internal memo, leaked from a PR firm, a crisis strategy. It outlined, in chillingly precise corporate language, the media plan to be enacted in the event of a sudden leadership change at the rival company. It listed friendly journalists to call, op-eds to plant, and a strategy to reframe the narrative around the CEO's risky lifestyle and exhaustion. She knew. She was not just a silent partner. She was the one who cleaned the blood off the money. She was the one who sold the lie to the world. I felt dizzy. I gripped the edge of Jasper's desk. "Keep reading," Jasper said, his voice quiet. "There is an appendix." I flipped to the back, Appendix C. Subject: Project Luminar. My breath stopped. The section detailed the last 6 months. It showed how a subsidiary, fully owned by Lockwood Equity, but fronted by a tech shell company, initiated the lawsuit against me. It showed the payment to a senior engineer on my own team, my lead coder, the one I trusted, the one I brought champagne for. They had paid him $500,000 to plant the false data logs, to use my own algorithms, my own creation, against me. He had inserted the evidence that the court used to convict me, making it look like I had used Luminar to defraud our clients. It was all here: the contracts, the offshore accounts, the final payment, wired the day I lost the lawsuit. It was not collateral damage. It was not a smokescreen. I returned to Dorian's letter, my vision blurring. I have had this file for almost a year. I could have given it to the Justice Department. I could have watched your parents be arrested, tried, and imprisoned for the rest of their lives, and I nearly did. But then I found you, the girl who sent the report, the one good thing that ever came from that bloodline. I realized that if I gave this file to the world, I would be destroying you, too. You would be the daughter of the monsters, your name forever linked to their crimes. It was a price I was not willing to make you pay. So, I chose a different path, a more creative solution. I am giving you both, the power and the truth, the empire, and the file that can destroy your entire family. You are the only person on Earth who understands the cost of both. What you do now is up to you. You can burn the file and live as a billionaire. Knowing you are protecting murderers, you can release the file, get your justice, and send your own parents to prison. You can try to negotiate. Use it as leverage. I do not envy you. Avery, it is a terrible choice. But it is a choice, and it is yours. The world is not run by good or bad people. It is run by people who make choices. Your father made his. I have made mine. Now, you must make yours. One day, you will have to choose. Be their daughter, or be the person you can look at in the mirror without disgust. Dorian. I closed the file. My hands were no longer shaking. They were ice cold. The numbness of that night in my father's study, the night I signed away my name, was gone. It was replaced by a cold, clear, crystalline rage. The shock was gone. The grief was gone. I looked at Jasper Cole. He was watching me, his expression unchanged, but his eyes held a deep, knowing sadness. He knew exactly what was in that file. I was not collateral damage, I said, my voice low, hardly recognizing the sound of it. I was a target. Yes, he said. My company, my team, my reputation, it was all just a line item on his balance sheet, a problem to be liquidated so he could move on to the real prize. Yes. I stood up, sliding the thick file and the letter back into the manila envelope. I tucked it into my laptop bag, zipping it shut. The bag suddenly felt impossibly heavy, like it contained a small black hole. I walked to the glass wall and looked out over Ridgeport. I could see the shimmering, arrogant tower of Lockwood Equity in the distance. I could see the people on the streets below, tiny, ant-like, all of them moving, living, working, completely unaware of the wars being fought in rooms like this, by men like my father, by men like Dorian, and now by me. I realized for the first time that my collapse was not the end of my story. It was not an accident. It was the prologue. It was the necessary, brutal, first act of a war I never even knew I was fighting. And my parents, the people who raised me, the people who taught me to be strong and smart, they were on the other side. They were the enemy, and they had been for a very, very long time. Dorian Vale was pronounced dead at 5:47 in the morning. By 9 o'clock, Jasper Cole had filed the will with the state probate court. By 9:30, the financial news services, which monitor court filings with the obsessive, high-speed scrutiny of algorithmic traders, exploded. The world shattered. Avery Lockwood, the disgraced, bankrupted, disowned fraud, was the sole heir to the entire Vale Dynamics empire. It was an earthquake, a black swan event that sent shockwaves through the global markets. Veil Dynamics stock was instantly halted, pending clarification. I did not see any of it. Marisol had driven me from Jasper's office, not to my old apartment, but to a private bank. There, my identity was verified, and I was made the sole signatory on a new, shielded trust account. Jasper's team was already liquidating my old life, paying the termination fee on my lease, settling my $38.16 credit card debt, erasing the final traces of the person I had been. By noon, I was back at the Vale estate. I walked into the cavernous stone foyer, but this time I was not a refugee. I was, in theory, the owner, the staff. A small, discreet team of housekeepers and security greeted me with a quiet, professional deference that felt more alien than the peeling paint hostility of my East Ridgeport neighbors. "Your belongings, Ms. Lockwood," Marisol said, gesturing to a single, small pile by the door. My 6-file boxes of Luminar research, my old laptop bag, and one cardboard box from my apartment, containing 2 changes of clothes, a toothbrush, and a framed photo of me and Luca from college, smiling on graduation day. That was it. The entire sum of my 32 years. Marisol led me to the master wing, not a guest suite, the suite. "Mr. Vale wished for you to have this space. He said you would need it." It was not a bedroom. It was a command center that happened to have a bed. It was larger than my entire old condo, let alone the studio. One wall was the same smoked glass and steel as Jasper's office, overlooking the silent, private valley. The room was furnished with sparse, powerful pieces of modern art, a desk that looked like it was carved from a single piece of obsidian, and shelves of books on military strategy, industrial history, and philosophy. And in the corner, a state-of-the-art, military-grade secure safe built into the stone wall. I placed my laptop bag on the massive, king-sized bed. The Lockwood Vale case file inside it felt like it was humming, a dark, radioactive core. I unpacked my few clothes into a walk-in closet the size of my old living room and felt like a ghost. That night, I could not sleep. The silence of the estate was too profound. At 2 a.m, I gave up. I padded barefoot out of the suite, my old t-shirt and sweatpants feeling like a costume in the oppressive, expensive darkness. I walked. The house was a labyrinth of stone and shadow. I found Dorian's study. It was not like my father's, which was a stage for intimidating visitors. This was a workshop. Schematics for factory turbines were spread across a table. Geological surveys were pinned to a wall. I wandered into a long, quiet gallery I had not seen before. It was not filled with the art I expected. It was lined with photographs. My footsteps slowed. I expected to see Dorian with senators, with celebrities, with presidents, the kind of power portraits my father displayed in his study. But there were no politicians here. One photo showed Dorian in a hard hat and safety glasses, his arms slung around a burly man in greasy coveralls, both of them laughing, in front of a blast furnace. Another showed him at a long picnic table, surrounded by families, children on his lap, at what looked like a company barbecue. Another was a formal shot, Dorian shaking the hand of a tearful woman, a plaque between them, 35 years of service. It was a gallery of his people, his workers, the 30,000 jobs he had saved, the real-world consequence of the data I had sent him 10 years ago. The contrast hit me so hard, I had to lean against the wall. The Lockwood family parties were not like this. They were transactions. Events where Lillian would grip my arm, her nails digging in, and whisper, "Go talk to Judge Miller. He is on the Arts Council. We need him." The memories came rushing back, sharp and unwelcome. I was 12. Lillian was fixing my dress before my first major charity gala. I was nervous. She knelt, her perfume enveloping me, and smoothed my hair. "Now, Avery, when the cameras are on you, what do you do?" I smile? "No, darling," she corrected, her voice gentle but firm. You project warmth, you project confidence, you project that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, and they are lucky to be looking at you. It is not a smile, it is a tool. I was 17, home from my first year at Stanford. My father brought me to a meeting with an investor. I shook the man's hand. When he left, Graham turned to me, his brow furrowed in disapproval. "Your handshake is weak. It is hesitant." I just met him. "You are a Lockwood," he said, as if that explained everything. "You will shake hands like one, firm, quick, no emotion. You are not asking a question. You are making a statement." I was 19. I was at a formal dinner, sitting silently, as instructed. My father and his partners were laughing about a brutal, hostile takeover they had just completed. They called it a corporate dissection. "We carved it up like a Thanksgiving turkey," one of them boomed. I remember feeling a small, cold pit in my stomach. I spoke without thinking. "But what about the pension fund? Did you not just wipe out the pensions for, 5,000 employees?" The laughter stopped. The clink of silverware on china ceased. My father's eyes, those cold, polished stone eyes, fixed on me. He did not say a word. He just looked at me. Later that night, Lillian came to my room. Her face was not soft. It was rigid with fury. "You will never," she hissed, "ever do that again. You embarrassed your father. You embarrassed me. You do not ask sentimental questions in a room full of men who are closing a deal. You made yourself look weak. You made him look weak." I looked at the photo of Dorian with his factory workers. I finally understood. My parents had been training me to be just like them, a predator, a performer. And that night, that 19th century dinner, was the moment I had failed their test. It was the moment I realized I was not one of them. It was the moment I decided to build a shield. Not a spear. It was the day Luminar Ledger was born, even if I did not know it for another decade. I went back to the master suite. The cold, clear rage from Jasper's office was returning, but it was sharper now, tinged with a deep, profound sadness. I sat at the obsidian desk. I pulled out my old laptop and my hard drive, the real copy of Luminar. I plugged it in. For hours, I did what I do best. I analyzed. I cross-referenced the pristine code with the corrupted logs from the lawsuit. I saw the breach, the digital fingerprints of my treacherous engineer. Mark, he had not just planted data. He had used a backdoor I myself had coded, a high-level diagnostic port, to run a simulation. He had used my own algorithm to teach itself how to look like it was committing fraud, creating a perfect, self-sustaining loop of false positives. It was brilliant. It was elegant. It was utterly devastating. It was the work of someone who knew my mind, who took my creation and poisoned it at the genetic level. The Lockwood Vale file was right, every word. I shut the laptop. I walked over to the safe. I keyed in the code Marisol had given me, and it opened with a heavy, silent thud. I held the physical file, the bound report, confidential, Lockwood, Vale case file. I weighed it in my hands, and I thought, if I gave this to the federal prosecutor, what would happen? I saw it, a news alert, Lockwood Equity. Raided by FBI, Graham, my father, in a suit, his hands cuffed behind his back, being walked out of his glittering tower, Lillian, my mother, her perfect mask finally cracking, her face pale with terror and humiliation. The company would collapse overnight. The scandal would be enormous, and everyone at that firm, hundreds of employees, the analysts, the assistants, the janitors, people who just did their jobs, would be out of work, their resumes tainted by association. And Luca, my brother, he was not a monster. He was just weak, eager to please, desperate for our father's approval. He would be swept up in the vortex. His life, his career, would be over. The Lockwood name would be synonymous with criminal. Could I do that? Could I be the one to light that match? I sank onto the edge of the bed, the file heavy in my lap. A soft knock. Marisol entered, carrying a tray with a single cup of tea. She placed it on the desk. She did not look at me, but she saw the file in my lap. She paused at the door. "He struggled with that file for a long time," she said quietly, her voice echoing in the vast room. "He knew what it would do." I looked up, my eyes burning from lack of sleep. How could he ask me to do this? He knew they were my family. He put an impossible choice in my hands. Marisol turned. Her dark eyes were steady, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of the same fire I had seen in Dorian's. "Mr. Vale did not believe in impossible choices. Ms. Lockwood, only hard ones. He did not ask you to destroy your family. He asked you to stop monsters. He once told me," her voice softened, "that sometimes justice does not make anyone happy. It just stops the bad people from doing it again." She left, closing the door softly behind her. Her words hung in the air. Stops the bad people from doing it again. I considered another path, a third option, a soft solution. I did not have to go to the feds. I could go to him, to Graham. I could walk into his office, not as his disowned daughter, but as the new CEO of Vale Dynamics. I could place this file on his desk, an ultimatum. "Retire, both of you, disappear, sell Lockwood equity, liquidate your personal assets and put every last dollar into a compensation fund for the victims. Go quietly, vanish, and I will bury this file. You do this, or I burn you to the ground." It was a compromise. Justice without total destruction. It was the clean way, the PR-friendly way Lillian would have engineered. But as I rehearsed the words in my head, the memory of that night in his study flooded back. The cold, dismissive look. "You have become a liability." My mother's voice, smooth as silk, as she handed me the papers to sign away my name. "It is just cleaner." They did not offer me an ultimatum. They did not offer me a compromise. They did not even offer me the dignity of a fight. They took me out, clinically and efficiently, to protect their deal. The thought of offering them a soft landing, a quiet retirement, died in my throat. It felt like a betrayal of Dorian, a betrayal of the 30,000 people he protected, a betrayal of myself. My secure phone, the one Jasper had given me, buzzed on the nightstand. It was a news alert, the first one to break through the privacy shield he had set up. The financial world was not just reporting the will, it was attacking. Shocking Vale will, the mystery heiress, from disgraced CEO to billionaire. Inside Avery Lockwood's lucky break, jilted son, Miles Vale, files suit. My father was manipulated by a predator. The narrative was set. I was the villain, the gold digger, the succubus. They were already painting me as a predator who had charmed a dying, senile old man. A new notification pinged, an email, to the new, encrypted address Jasper had created for me. It had bypassed the filters. The sender was anonymous. The address a jumble of random letters and numbers. The subject line was empty. The body contained a single sentence. "You think Miles will just sit still?" I looked at the message. Then I looked at the file in my lap. This was the next wave, the first attack. Miles. He was not just going to sue me in probate court. He was coming for me. I stood and walked to the massive glass wall. The balcony outside was cold, the stone damp with morning dew. I looked out over the valley. To the distant, hazy glow of Ridgeport on the horizon, I could see the faint, glittering spike of the Lockwood Equity Tower, catching the first light of dawn. I was not in freefall anymore. I had landed. I was standing in a fortress, holding a bomb, and the First Army was already at the gates. I clutched the Lockwood Vale file. It was cold against my skin. I knew, with a sudden chilling certainty, that I could not retreat, I could not hide, I could not compromise. I had been pushed off a cliff, but Dorian Vale had not just given me a soft landing, he had given me a mountain, and now I had to learn how to defend it. Dorian Vale was buried 3 days ago, in a private ceremony on the estate, attended only by me, Marisol, Jasper, and a few long-serving staff. It was quiet, dignified, and respectful. Miles Vale's response, 2 days later, was a tactical nuclear explosion. He held a press conference on the steps of the Ridgeport courthouse. He looked every inch the wronged heir. He is about 35, tall, with expensive, sharp tailoring and the kind of smooth, media-trained confidence that my mother always prized. But his eyes are arrogant, cold, and hungry. He stood before a bank of microphones, a phalanx of shark-like lawyers behind him. My father, Dorian Vale, was a titan, he began, his voice thick with practiced emotion. But in his final months, he was a sick, frail, and vulnerable man, a man who was preyed upon. He pointed, not at a camera, but metaphorically, at me. Avery Lockwood, a woman facing financial ruin and public disgrace, exploited my father's weakness. She manipulated him, isolated him, and tricked him into signing a document that is a mockery of his true wishes. He signaled to his lead attorney. Today, we have filed suit in the state court to have this fraudulent will invalidated. We will fight to restore my father's true legacy and reclaim my rightful inheritance. The financial channels loved it. They replayed the clip every 15 minutes. They brought on experts who analyzed the family dynamic. They reported that Miles, long seen as the heir apparent, had been in a protracted conflict with his father over the company's direction. Dorian wanted long-term industrial stability. Miles wanted to leverage assets, chase high-risk tech ventures. The conflict culminated 6 months ago, when Dorian had Miles removed from the executive board after a disastrously risky investment lost the company nearly $500 million. Now, the media narrative was clear. Miles was the ambitious son, and I was the final obstacle to his hostile takeover from within. His lawyers immediately started their media assault. They released statements alleging I had an overwhelming and desperate financial motive. They painted a picture. Here is a woman whose own company just imploded under accusations of fraud. She is billions of dollars in debt. Suddenly, she appears at the bedside of a dying billionaire. Days later, she inherits everything. The facts speak for themselves. They were good. They were very, very good. They were implying I had somehow used my fraudulent skills to frame Miles, perhaps convincing Dorian that his son was in league with his enemies. The irony was suffocating. I watched this storm from the command center. Dorian's study, at the estate, I was, for the first time in my life, silent. Jasper Cole was my voice. He did not call a press conference. He simply released a single file to the top 5 global news agencies. It was a video. The footage was from Dorian's hospital room, dated 1 month ago. It showed Dorian, frail, yes, but his eyes were sharp, his voice that familiar, papery rasp. Jasper was there, as was Marisol, and a state-appointed judge. Do you, Dorian Vale, understand the contents of this document? The judge asked. Dorian looked straight at the camera. I understand them perfectly, better than any of you. And you understand that this will completely disinherit your son, Miles Vale? I know exactly what I'm doing, Dorian said, his voice firm. My son has proven he values money more than legacy, profit more than people. I am choosing a different path. The video was devastating to Miles's narrative. The public opinion, which had been firmly on the side of the wronged son, began to wobble. The battle was joined. For the next 2 weeks, I lived in a surreal bubble. By day, I was at the Vale Dynamics headquarters, a sprawling 20-acre campus of low modern buildings, being walked through the labyrinthine operations of a global empire by a board of directors who looked at me with a mixture of suspicion, curiosity, and naked ambition. By night, I was back at the estate, in Dorian's study, absorbing decades of his life's work, the Lockwood Vale file burning a hole in the new safe. One night, I returned late. It was after 10. Marisol had already retired to her own quarters on the property. The house was silent, the security systems humming. I entered my study, and I stopped. The air was wrong. It was cold. The balcony door, which I always kept locked, was open just a crack. My heart slammed into my throat. I backed out slowly. hitting the silent panic button on my phone, the one that alerted the estate's private security team. I waited in the hall, my back flat against the stone wall, my breath held. Within 2 minutes, 2 armed, quiet professionals in dark uniforms swept the room. One of them gave me an all clear. I walked inside. Everything looked normal. My desk was untouched. My laptop was where I left it. Then I saw the safe. The heavy steel door was still closed, but the digital keypad had been ripped from the wall. The high-security biometric scanner next to it was melted, a slag of plastic and wires, and the wall around the safe was scarred with deep gouges. They had tried to pry it out. Failing that, they had used a plasma torch, trying to cut through the hinges. I keyed in the manual override. The door hissed open. Inside, everything was as I left it, and sitting right on top, visibly, was the thick, bound copy of the Lockwood Vale case file. They had failed to get in, or they had been interrupted. The head of security, a man named Harris, was already at the main console, reviewing the internal camera logs. "I have them, Ms. Lockwood." He brought the footage up on the main screen. 4 figures, all in black, wearing ski masks. They had bypassed the perimeter alarms. This was professional. They had entered through the balcony, a 3-story drop. They knew exactly where they were going. They went straight for the safe. The footage showed them working on it for 10 minutes. Then, an external alert must have spooked them. They packed their gear. As they were leaving, one of them, the leader, stopped in the shadows of the balcony, just outside the camera's main view. He pulled off his mask to speak into a radio. "It is no good. The system is too strong. We have to abort." Harris zoomed in. He ran an enhancement filter. The face was grainy, shadowed, but unmistakable. I had just seen it on television all week. It was not Miles. It was his right-hand man, a man named Stefan Koenig, an ex-Mossad investment consultant who had been standing right behind Miles at the press conference. I stared at the screen, my blood turning to ice. Miles did not just want the company. He was hunting the file. "He knows," I whispered. "He knows about my father. He knows the file exists." "Ms. Lockwood?" Harris asked. "Do I call the Ridgeport police?" "No," I said, my mind racing. "No police. Not yet. Double the perimeter. And get me Jenna." Jenna was the first person I hired after inheriting. My best cybersecurity engineer from Luminar, the one who hadn't betrayed me. I had brought her to Vale, given her an unlimited budget, and told her to secure everything. She arrived at the study in 10 minutes, her laptop already open. "Jenna, they tried to break into the safe," I said. "I need to know if they tried anything else. I need to know if they know about the digital backups." Jenna plugged into the estate's core network. Her fingers flew. "Physical breach is sloppy," she muttered. "These guys are hardware, not software. Let me check the network logs." She was silent for 5 minutes, her eyes scanning lines of code. "Oh," she said. "Oh, wow. Yes, someone has been trying to get in. Not through the estate's network. They have been hitting the private cloud server at the Cole, Ryland, and Finch law firm, where Jasper keeps the encrypted backups." "Can you trace it?" "Amateur stuff," Jenna scoffed. "They routed through 6 different countries. But the origin node, it is lazy. Give me a second." She typed, her screen flashing. "Got it. The IP address resolves to a secure office block downtown. Specifically, to the registered server for the law firm of Kramer, Beck, and Strauss." "Miles's lawyers," I said. "They have been trying for 2 weeks," Jenna said, looking up at me. "Brute force attacks, spear phishing attempts. They are desperate. Avery, what the hell is in that file?" I looked at the broken safe, I looked at Jenna, and I looked at Jasper, who had just arrived, his face grim. "They did not fail to get in," I said to Jasper. He raised an eyebrow. "Avery?" "I mean, they did fail, but it would not have mattered. The file in that safe, it is not the real one." Jasper's expression did not change, but a new sharpness entered his eyes. It is a copy, I explained. I made it last week. It is 90% accurate, but I removed certain key pages, the ones linking directly to the accident, and I added a few enhancements, some breadcrumbs leading to a different narrative. It was bait. I wanted to see who would come for it. And the original? Jasper asked. The original, and my own analysis, and every piece of data Dorian gave me, is on a new, air-gapped, encrypted drive. It is currently sitting in a bank vault in Zurich. The only electronic copy is the one you have, and I trust Jenna to keep it safe. So what now? Jasper asked. We have them. Attempted breaking and entering, conspiracy. We can hand this footage to the police and have Koenig arrested. It will lead straight to Miles. No, I said. I looked at the screen, at Koenig's shadowy face. No police? Not yet. If we arrest him, Miles will just disavow him. He will claim Koenig went rogue. This is a skirmish. I do not want to win the skirmish. I want to win the war. Miles thinks I'm a bankrupt, terrified little girl. He thinks I'm stupid. Let him. He has just shown me his entire hand. What is your hand, Avery? Jasper asked. He thinks the file is his leverage. He thinks he can use it against my father, or maybe use it to blackmail me. He thinks my family is my weakness. I am going to let him keep thinking that. Do not call the police. Harris, just fix the safe. It took less than 48 hours. My silence on the break-in must have made Miles nervous, or arrogant. He must have assumed I did not even know it happened. I received a formal request, through lawyers. Miles Vale requested a private, off-the-record meeting to discuss a potential resolution. We met at a neutral location, a private suite at the Ridgeport Grand Hotel. Jasper was with me. Miles brought his lead attorney. Miles was all smooth, conciliatory charm. He offered his condolences for my recent troubles. He postured as if this was all a terrible misunderstanding. This lawsuit, Avery, he said, leaning forward. It is ugly, it is expensive, it is bad for the brand, our brand. It does not have to be this way. What do you propose, Miles? I asked, keeping my voice flat. I know my father. He was eccentric. He collected things, information, sometimes, information that was dangerous, about people, about families, like yours. My heart did not even flutter. I just watched him. I propose a simple exchange, he said, his voice dropping. I know he left you a certain file, a file concerning Lockwood equity. It is of no use to you. It is a burden. Give it to me, all of it. In exchange, I will drop the lawsuit. The will stands. You keep the company. I will even make a public statement supporting you as the new CEO. We can be partners. Here it was, the move. He wanted the weapon. I looked away. I let my shoulders slump. I tried to channel the broken, terrified woman I had been 5 weeks ago. That file, I whispered, letting my voice shake just a little. It is about my parents, my whole family. Exactly, Miles said, his eyes lighting up. He saw the weakness. He saw the opening. It is a terrible burden for a daughter to carry. Why would you want to be responsible for that? Why would you want to see your own parents in prison? I looked at him, letting a tear form in the corner of my eye. I cannot be the one to do that to them, even after what they did to me. He is still my father. Miles leaned back, a predator who had just successfully cornered his prey. He had me. My family was my weak spot. I was just a sentimental girl. After all. Then give it to me, Avery, he said, his voice a soothing, venomous balm. Let me take that burden from you. I will know what to do with it. I will handle Graham Lockwood. You will be free, and you will be CEO. Everyone wins. I stood up, wiping my fake tear. I need to think. I need to talk to Jasper. Do not take too long, Miles said, standing as well. He was smiling. He had already won. We walked out of the suite. Jasper and I did not speak until the elevator doors closed. You were very convincing, Ms. Lockwood, he said dryly. He thinks I am weak, I said, my voice instantly hard. He thinks he can use me to get the file, and then use the file to blackmail my father and secure his own position, maybe even get a piece of the Vale deal. It is a dangerous game you are playing, Avery. You are caught between two vipers. I know, I said. The elevator doors opened to the lobby. But they both think I am a mouse. They have no idea I am the trap. As Miles's car pulled away from the curb, I watched it go. He was arrogant, he was greedy, and he was sloppy. He was the perfect weapon. My father had used a corporation to destroy me. I was going to use his son to destroy him. The probate court of Ridgeport County is not designed for a media circus, but it has one. The trial of Vale v. Lockwood, as the press has dubbed it, has become the single most watched financial drama in the nation. The narrative is just too good. The jilted son versus the Cinderella CEO, the broke, disgraced tech founder who, in a single day, inherited a $20 billion empire. I am that CEO, and I feel like I'm on trial for my life, not just my inheritance. Miles Vale enters the courtroom every morning like a leading man. He is flanked by his team of lawyers, all sharp suits and predator smiles. His strategy is clear, and it is brilliant. He is not just the son, he is the victim. His PR team has been working overtime, planting stories of his profound disagreements with his father, painting him as a forward-thinking visionary who was punished for daring to challenge the old man's outdated methods. He is the rightful heir, cast out by a senile, dying king who was charmed by a corporate witch. I, on the other hand, follow Jasper Cole's precise instructions. I wear the same simple, dark gray suit every day. My hair is pulled back. No makeup, no jewelry. I am not the billionaire heiress. I am the quiet, competent professional. I am the person Dorian Vale chose. My only support sits in the second row, directly behind me, Marisol Trent. She is a statue of perfect composure, but I see her hands clench in her lap every time Miles's lawyers open their mouths. Mr. Vale was a compromised man. Miles's lead attorney, a slick operator named Kincaid, thunders in his opening statement. A man in the final, painful stages of a terminal disease, a man being fed a cocktail of narcotics that, as our medical experts will testify, left him susceptible to confusion, paranoia, and sadly, manipulation. Their attack is brutal and direct. They play security footage from the hospital wing of the estate, but it is clipped, edited. They show a 30-second loop of Dorian, groggy after a morphine dose, slurring a request for water. They show a nurse's log, highlighting the dosage of his pain medication. They put a paid expert on the stand who testifies that at those levels, a man of 78 would be incapable of rational, complex financial decision-making. Kincaid paces before the judge, and into this fog of confusion steps Ms. Avery Lockwood, a woman, by her own admission, facing total financial ruin, a woman whose own company had just been found liable for massive data fraud. She was desperate, she was motivated, and she saw, in Dorian Vale, her one last, desperate chance. I sit, my hands folded on the table. I stare straight ahead. I do not look at Kincaid. I do not look at Miles. I do not look at the jury. I am a stone. Then it is Jasper's turn. He does not pace. He does not shout. He stands at the lectern, a figure of calm, gray reason. The plaintiff would have you believe Dorian Vale was a doddering fool in his final days. Let us see the truth. He plays the full video clip, the one Kincaid had cut to 30 seconds, the full 15-minute clip. It shows Dorian slurring. Yes, but then it shows him, 10 minutes later, sitting bolt upright, refusing the next dose of medication. I have work to do, nurse, his voice rasps. Get me Jasper Cole on the line, and my chief engineer in Berlin. Jasper calls Dorian's personal physician, Dr. Alani, to the stand. She is in her 60s, no nonsense, and clearly despises Kincaid. Dr. Alani, Jasper asks, in your medical opinion, on the day Mr. Vale signed his will, Was he of sound mind and body? He was of sound mind and failing body. Dr. Alani states, her eyes fixed on the judge. Dorian Vale, on his worst day, was sharper than Mr. Kincaid on his best. He was in pain, yes, but his cognitive function was, in my expert opinion, 100% intact. He knew exactly what he was doing. Kincaid tries to rip her apart on cross-examination. Doctor, are you aware that you are a beneficiary of the Vale Charitable Trust, now controlled by Ms. Lockwood? Dr. Alani does not blink. I am a trust I was also a beneficiary of when Mr. Vale was alive. My position has not changed. My opinion of his health has not changed. Finally, Jasper submits his final, crushing piece of evidence, an email. It is from Dorian Vale to Jasper Cole, time-stamped 2 days before the will was signed. The subject line is simple. Contingencies. The email is 3 paragraphs long. In it, Dorian lays out, with chilling, logical precision, his reasoning for his choice. Jasper, Miles has proven himself to be a gambler. He sees Vale Dynamics not as a legacy, not as a provider for 30,000 families, but as a stack of chips to be leveraged. He would sell it for parts within a year to fund his next digital fantasy. I will not allow it. Avery Lockwood, however, is the only person I have ever met who understands the spine of the company, because she saved it once before, and she did it for free. She sees the code beneath the surface. She understands that wealth is not a prize, it is a responsibility. Her current legal troubles are a distraction. In fact, they prove my point. She was targeted. She flew too close to the truth, and the cowards burned her wings. I am giving her a new set of wings. Do not let Miles break this. When Jasper finishes reading, the courtroom is silent. Miles is no longer the visionary son. He is the gambler who was just called out by his father, from beyond the grave. But the war is not just in the courtroom. It is everywhere else. Miles's PR team, funded by his remaining trust fund, is running a parallel smear campaign. This one is not about Dorian. It is about me. Every day, a new, leaked story appears on a different financial blog or gossip site. Avery Lockwood's secret debts. The Luminar ledger scandal. What did she really know? Associates allege Lockwood had a god complex. They are painting me as a kestrel, a creature that circles financial scandals, swooping in to pick the bones. They are hammering the fraud narrative, seeding the public consciousness, ensuring that even if I win the will, I lose the war for public trust. I am sitting in the estate study late one night, tracking the digital footprints of these articles. When my secure phone buzzes, it is Nora, my lawyer friend. Avery, you are not going to believe this, she says, her voice low and fast. I took a deep dive on those blogs that are attacking you, the ones that popped up out of nowhere. What did you find? I ran a financial trace, their ad funding, their hosting. It is not coming from Miles. It is coming from a series of shadow PR firms, all funded by the same 3 offshore holding companies. And these companies, Avery, I cross-referenced them with the old Luminar case files, the ones we had before the trial. What? They are the same shell companies, Nora says, her voice tight with disbelief. The exact same ones that were tied to those hedge funds, the ones your algorithm flagged, the ones you were investigating when you got sued. I grip the edge of the desk. So it is not just Miles. No, it is an organized network. It is the old guard, the ones you tried to expose, all coming out of the woodwork to make sure you stay buried. They are terrified of you. Avery, especially now that you have Dorian Vale's money, they are not just helping Miles, they are protecting themselves. The weight of it hits me. This is not just 2 fronts, Miles and my father. This is a multi-headed hydra, and they are all coordinating. This is the moment. My hand hovers over the desk drawer where I keep my private laptop, the one with the file. I could end this. I could call Jasper, tell him to leak the Lockwood Vale case file. Just the part about Luminar, the part that proves, undeniably, that my father funded the entire lawsuit, that my lead engineer was a paid traitor. It would exonerate me instantly. It would prove I was the victim, not the kestrel. It would silence the media, discredit Miles's entire narrative, and win me the trial. But the moment that file goes public, the countdown begins. It would not just expose the Luminar fraud. It would expose the wire transfers, the security logistics firm, the accident, the political payoffs. My father would be arrested. My mother would be arrested. Lockwood equity would be vaporized. Luca would be destroyed. I would be proven innocent, but I would be doing it by annihilating my entire family. Dorian's voice echoes in my head. Choose. Be their daughter, or be the person you can look at in the mirror. I cannot do it. Not like this. Not to win a probate case. It is too big a bomb for too small a target. I shut the drawer. The next day, during a recess, I feel a presence beside me in the hall. Ms. Lockwood? He is unassuming, mid-40s, rumpled suit, tired eyes, and the kind of patient, observant stillness that real journalists have. My name is Eli Madden, he says, not offering a hand, just a business card. Independent investigative journalist. I am not part of that circus. I have been tracking financial corruption in this city for 15 years. I am not giving interviews, I say, turning to walk away. I am not here for an interview, he says, his voice quiet. I am here to give you something. I have been following your father, Graham Lockwood, for a long time, longer than you. I have also been following Miles Vale. That stops me. I turn back. He slides a single, 4x6 glossy photograph from his jacket pocket. He hands it to me, discreetly. That was taken 2 years ago, he says, at a private, invitation-only event at the North Crest Club. No press allowed. I had a source on the catering staff. I look at the picture. My stomach clenches. It is Graham Lockwood, my father, his arms slung chummily over the shoulder of a laughing Miles Vale. They are holding cigars and brandy snifters, celebrating something. They look like old friends, like partners. I could never figure out the connection, Madden says. Lockwood Equity and Vale Dynamics are predators from different ecosystems, but they were close, very close, right up until Miles was kicked off the board by his father. After that, they were never seen together again. He taps the photo. Miles is not just fighting you for his inheritance, Ms. Lockwood. He is fighting you for his own survival. Whatever deal he had with your father, it is in the past. And now, he wants to make sure you do not find it, and he wants to destroy your father just as much as he wants to destroy you. He gives me a long, steady look. Be careful. You are not just standing between a son and his money. You are standing between two criminal conspiracies that are about to go to war with each other. He nods and walks away, blending back into the crowd. I stare at the photograph. He wants to destroy your father. My meeting with Miles, my weakness, my fear of sending my parents to prison, it was all a lie. He was not giving me a choice. He was testing me. He was checking to see if I had the stomach to take my father down, or even better, if I would be stupid enough to give him the weapon so he could do it himself. He wants the Lockwood Vale file not just to blackmail my father, but to destroy him, to erase his old partner, to clean his own slate. This changes everything. That afternoon, the judge reconvenes. I have heard the arguments. I have reviewed the extensive evidence, including the testimony of Dr. Alani and the final confirmed email from Mr. Vale. I find no credible evidence of undue influence or lack of capacity. However, given the significant public and financial stakes, I will not be issuing a summary judgment. I will render my final decision in 48 hours. 48 hours. The gavel comes down. The room explodes. Kincaid and Miles look furious. They wanted a long, drawn-out fight to bleed me in the press. A quick decision is bad for them. Jasper and I are silent as we pack our briefcases. This is good, he murmurs. The email was the key. We leave the courthouse, pushing through a wall of cameras. That night, I sit alone in Dorian's study. 48 hours, the end of the first battle. But Eli Madden's photograph is on the desk. He is right. This is just the beginning. I am caught between two vipers. If I do nothing, they will eventually come to an agreement and turn on me. If I attack one, the other will take advantage. I will not let this probate trial be the main event. It is the distraction. The real war is the one in the shadows, the one my father started, the one Miles wants to finish. It is time to light the first match. I open my secure laptop. I compile a new document. It is not the full file. It is a high-level summary, an anonymous white paper. Subject: Analysis of Coordinated Market Manipulation, Ridgeport Financial Sector. It details, with cold, analytical precision, the patterns, the shell corporations, the flow of offshore money, the timing of market-disrupting events. It mentions no names, not Lockwood, not Vail. It just shows the data. It is the skeleton of the conspiracy, clean of all flesh. I upload it to a secure anonymous drop server. I send the link from a temporary, encrypted email address to a single recipient, the direct, private inbox of the U.S. Attorney for the District of Oregon, the one prosecutor with a reputation for being an unbribable, relentless shark. Just like I did, 10 years ago. I hit send. Then I delete the email, the file, and wipe the laptop's cache. The probate case will end in 48 hours, but I just started the clock on a much bigger, much more dangerous game. I do not know if Miles or my father will win their private war, but I know a new player just joined the field, the federal government, and they will be coming for everyone. The judge's 48-hour clock is ticking. 24 hours to go. I do not wait at the estate. I do not wait at the Vail offices. I am done waiting. I am done reacting. I sent the summons myself, from my new, secure email address, a simple, non-negotiable request for a meeting. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., the Presidential Suite, Ridgeport Grand Hotel. I used my new title, Avery Vail Lockwood, Acting CEO, Vail Dynamics. I knew the new, hyphenated name would be the first sting. I booked the suite under the Vail corporate account. It is neutral territory, not my fortress, not their kingdom. A sterile, outrageously expensive box in the sky. All cream carpets and soulless modern art. It is a place for high-stakes transactions. And that is what this is, the last transaction. I am there at 9. I have the suite security detail sweep the room for bugs. I order a pot of black coffee and a single pitcher of ice water. No food. And on the massive glass-topped coffee table, I place one item, the thick, bound copy of the Lockwood Vail case file. The real one, the one from the Zurich vault. I had it flown in by a private courier overnight. I am not using the prop. This is the real bomb. At 10 a.m. on the dot, the chime sounds. I open the door. They are perfect. Of course they are. My father, Graham Lockwood, is in a dark, bespoke charcoal suit, his silver hair perfectly coiffed. He looks like he is walking into a board meeting, not a confrontation. His eyes are cold, filled with a controlled, simmering annoyance. My mother, Lillian Lockwood, is flawless in a cream-colored silk dress, her pearls glowing, her smile a bright, brittle, beautiful lie. She glides in, her gaze sweeping the room, cataloging its value, its exits, its power dynamic. Avery, darling, Lillian says, her voice a cool, musical laugh. She stops 10 feet away, air-kissing the space between us. What a flair for the dramatic, the presidential suite? I am almost impressed. She looks at me, then at the single coffee pot, and her smile tightens. So, what is this? What do you want? Money? Is your new billionaire empire not paying the bills? Graham says nothing. He walks past me to the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking down at the city, his city. He is projecting power, indifference. He is treating me like a junior associate who called an unnecessary meeting. Sit down, I say. My voice is quiet. It does not echo. It lands in the center of the room like a heavy stone. The command in it surprises them. The smile vanishes from Lillian's face. Graham turns slowly from the window. For the first time, they are not seeing their disowned daughter. They are seeing the woman who inherited Dorian Vale's power. They sit, stiffly, on the cream-colored sofa opposite me. I sit in the armchair. I do not pour coffee. I let the silence stretch. The only sound the faint hum of the city 20 floors below. Then, I lean forward. I place my hands on the file. I know everything, I say. Lillian's mask of polite amusement flickers. Graham's eyes narrow. Everything? He scoffs. You know nothing. You are a child playing with a computer, just like you have always been. I know about the hedge fund alliance, I say, my voice steady, cold. I know about the plan to dismantle Vale Dynamics, both 10 years ago and now. I know about the offshore accounts used to pay for security logistics. I know about the CEO who had the unfortunate accident on the mountain road. Lillian's hand, which was resting on the arm of the sofa, grips the fabric. Graham's expression goes from annoyance to a sudden, sharp, dangerous stillness. And I know, I continue, about Project Luminar. I open the file. I do not show them the whole thing. I show them 3 pages. I slide them across the glass table. Page 1. The wire transfer confirmation. $500,000. From a Lockwood Equity Shell Corporation to the private account of Mark, my lead engineer. Page 2. A photograph, grainy, long lens. My father, Graham, sitting at an outdoor cafe in the Caymans, shaking hands with the head of the security firm. The same man from the picture Eli Madden gave me. Miles? No. This was a different man. The other man. The one who arranged the accident. Page 3. The signature page of the contract that initiated the lawsuit against me, the one from the shell company, and at the bottom, the authorizing signature, Graham Lockwood. Lillian lets out a small, sharp sound, like a caught bird. Graham stares at his own signature. His face is no longer cold. It is a pale, waxy mask. "Where did you get this?" he whispers, his voice a venomous rasp. "Dorian Vale," I say. He spent the last decade of his life building this file. He gave it to me, along with everything else he owned. Graham looks up from the signature. He tries to laugh, but it comes out as a dry bark. Vale, of course, a final, vindictive fantasy from a dying, senile old man. This is fabricated, all of it. It is inadmissible. It is libel. Is it? I ask. Are the bank codes fabricated? Are the audio recordings of your calls fabricated? Is the sworn affidavit from the PR executive who managed the accident story for Mother fabricated? Lillian pales. She looks at Graham, her eyes wide with a very real, very new terror. "This is just business. Avery," Graham snaps, shifting tactics. He is the cornered predator, lashing out. "This is the game. This is how the world works. Everyone does it. Everyone. Vale did it. I did it. You just were not smart enough to see it. You were busy with your little ethics algorithm, while the adults were making the real moves. There are things you simply do not understand, darling," Lillian adds, her voice trembling but striving for its old condescension. "This is a world that has rules you cannot comprehend. It is complex. It is for adults." The rage that I have held in check for weeks, for my entire life, finally crystallizes. It is not hot. It is ice cold. "I understand perfectly," I say, my voice dangerously soft. "I understand that I was not just collateral damage. You did not just let me fail. You made me fail. You targeted me. You hired my own employee to betray me, to plant evidence, to destroy my name, to ruin my life." I lean forward. "You did it, not just to get my algorithm out of the way. You did it to punish me, to teach me a lesson, to show me what happens when I choose a side that is not yours. When I dare to build something that could expose you, you used me as a shield. You used me as a sacrifice." "We gave you everything," Lillian suddenly shrieks, her perfect mask shattering, revealing the raw, desperate fury beneath. Your name, your schools, your life. We built you, and you spat on it. You built that weapon, aimed right at your own family. I built a tool to find the truth, I counter. It only became a weapon because you were on the wrong side of it. Graham holds up a hand, silencing her. He has regained his composure. He looks at me, his eyes dead. So, this is it. Blackmail. You bring us here. You show us this file. You threaten us. What is your price? Avery? What do you want? $1 billion? 2? You want back in the trust? Is that it? You still think this is about money, I say. I almost pity them. You still do not see it. I stand up, I walk to the window, looking down at the city, just as he did. This is your one and only offer, I say, not looking at them. It is not a negotiation, it is a choice, the last one I will ever give you. I turn around. 1. You will both resign, effective immediately. From Lockwood Equity, from every board, from every charity, you will cite personal health reasons. 2. You will hand over control of the firm to an independent, court-appointed receiver. 3. You will liquidate 75% of your personal assets, the houses, the art, the offshore accounts, and place it all into a victim's compensation fund. It will be managed by a third party, to pay back the pensions you stole and the lives you destroyed. This is insane, Graham breathes, his face mottled with purple rage. If you do this, I continue, ignoring him, if you go quietly, if you vanish, I will not actively participate in the investigation that is coming. This file will remain in my safe. I will not be the one to hand it to the U.S. attorney. I let that hang in the air. The investigation that is coming. I let them think I am the one controlling its timing. Graham Lockwood stares at me, and then he throws his head back and laughs. It is a loud, sharp, ugly sound. You are delusional, he says, wiping a tear of mirth from his eye. You are truly, profoundly insane. You sit there, a disgraced 32-year-old who got lucky with a dying man's will, and you think you can give me an ultimatum? Me? He stands up, buttoning his suit jacket. He radiates all the arrogant, unchecked power he has wielded his entire life. You have no idea what you are doing. Avery, you have a pile of paper. I have a network. I have judges, senators, and journalists on my payroll. I have the best lawyers money can buy. You think you can touch me? I managed the Luminar situation in a week. I will manage this. I will manage you. This file will be buried, and you will be back in your gutter apartment before the year is out. Lillian stands too, emboldened by his confidence. The flicker of fear is gone, replaced by her familiar, cold disdain. She looks at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of pity and disgust. This is what this is not it? She says, her voice dripping with venom. This is revenge, petty, childish revenge, because Daddy and Mommy would not let you play with your little startup anymore. You would really burn your own family to the ground, just to feel powerful for a day? I look at her, I look at him, and the last, tiny, stupid ember of hope in my heart finally goes out. They feel nothing, no remorse, no guilt, no shame. They are not sorry they did it. They are just angry they got caught. They are angry that I am the one who caught them. Dorian was right. Marisol was right. You cannot negotiate with monsters. You can only stop them. I walk to the table. I slowly, carefully, close the Lockwood Vale case file. I tuck it under my arm. This was your choice, I say. My voice is quiet, empty, all the rage, the pain, the betrayal. It is gone. There is nothing left. This was your one chance to choose a different path, and you chose to stay exactly where you are. I walk to the door. This is the last time we will ever speak as a family, I say, my hand on the handle. Everything that happens next, it is not my doing. It is the consequence of your choices, the ones you made 20 years ago, the ones you made in this room, today. Get out, Graham snarls. Get out of my sight! I pause at the door. And from this moment on, he says, his voice low and trembling with fury, do not use the name Lockwood. You are not my daughter. You are not of my blood. You do not deserve it. I look back at him, at this angry, terrified old man in his expensive suit. He thinks he is delivering a final, mortal blow. He thinks he is disowning me, again. He has no idea he just set me free. I open the door and walk out. I do not look back. I walk down the silent, carpeted hallway of the hotel. I do not run. I do not cry. I feel light, the anchor of their name, the burden of their approval, the twisted, transactional thing they called family. It is finally gone. I am just Avery. I step into the elevator. The doors close, sealing me in. My secure phone buzzes in my pocket. I pull it out. It is a text message from Nora. Jesus, Avery, turn on the news. Now. There is a search warrant. The feds. They are raiding Lockwood Equity. Right now, they are carting out boxes. It is all over the financial news. I stare at the screen. The elevator glides silently downward. I did not have to hand them the file. I did not have to make the choice. The anonymous summary I sent 48 hours ago, the seed I planted, it just hit fertile ground. I gave my father a chance to get out of the way of the train. He chose to stand on the tracks and tell me I was delusional. The choice was made. The doors open to the lobby. I walk out into the rest of my life. The day of the probate verdict. The courtroom is a tinderbox. Every camera in Ridgeport is crammed into the hallway. Every seat in the gallery filled with journalists and financial vultures. Miles is sitting at his table, projecting an air of bored confidence. He thinks the 48-hour delay means the judge is waffling, that his PR and campaign is working. He thinks he is still in the game. The judge enters. The room goes silent. I have reviewed all testimony and evidence presented in the matter of the Vale estate, the judge says, his voice flat, emotionless. The plaintiff, Mr. Miles Vale, alleges undue influence and lack of testamentary capacity. This court finds those claims to be unsubstantiated. I feel Marisol's hand grip the back of my chair. The evidence provided by the defense, the judge continues, specifically the video testimony of Mr. Dorian Vale, his contemporaneous email to his counsel, Mr. Cole, and the expert testimony of Dr. Alani, demonstrates, to this court's satisfaction, that Mr. Vale was of sound mind, clear in his intent, and acting of his own free will. Miles's smile has vanished. Therefore, this court finds the last will and testament of Dorian Alastair Vale, dated October 3rd, to be valid and legally binding. All claims by the plaintiff are dismissed. This court is adjourned. The gavel cracks, sharp as a gunshot. It is over. I won. I am, officially, legally, and irrevocably, the owner of Vale Dynamics. The room explodes. Miles slams his hand on the table, his face a mask of purple fury. His lawyer, Kincaid, is already shouting about an appeal. The cameras flood the aisle. I just sit there, frozen. Jasper puts a hand on my arm. Avery, it is done. Miles is shoving his way through the crowd, his face contorted. This is a travesty. This is not over. That woman is a fraud, and I will... He does not get to finish. A new group of people, quiet, unimpressed, and wearing dark suits with federal pins on the lapels, steps directly into his path. Mr. Miles Vale, the lead agent says, his voice calm, carrying easily over the din. What? Miles snaps, trying to push past. The agent holds up a badge and a document. You are not under arrest, but we are formally serving you with this subpoena. You are a person of interest in an ongoing federal investigation into racketeering, securities fraud, and conspiracy related to the operations of Lockwood Equity Partners and its associates. The entire room stops. The cameras, which had been focused on me, all swivel, 100 lenses turning on Miles. What? That is insane, Miles sputters, his arrogance dissolving into a visible, sweaty panic. I have nothing to do with Lockwood. We also have a warrant to search your offices and residences, the agent continues, handing the packet to a stunned Kincaid. You will be required to appear before a grand jury. We will see you, and your client, Mr. Lockwood, downtown. The agents part the crowd and are gone. The media frenzy is instantaneous. It is a feeding Shark Tank. It is no longer Vale Vive. Lockwood. It is the Lockwood Vale conspiracy. The narrative I had carefully avoided is now the only narrative. Heiress wins fortune as feds raid father's empire. Miles Vale implicated in Lockwood scandal. They are connecting the dots. They are painting me as the Trojan horse, the unlikely savior, the daughter who brought down the dynasty. I never said a word. I never leaked the file. But by sending that anonymous summary, I had pointed a missile at the heart of their operation. The federal probe had likely been dormant, a cold case, just as Eli Madden suggested. My summary, full of fresh data points, was the key. They had turned it, and it had opened the door to hell. The next 2 weeks are a blur. The federal case moves with terrifying speed. My father, my mother, and a dozen of their associates are arrested in a series of coordinated pre-dawn raids. They are all out on massive, multi-million-dollar bail bonds. Their faces plastered across every screen in the world. Lockwood equity is frozen. And a preliminary hearing begins in federal court. This is not a trial, but a hearing to determine if the evidence is strong enough to proceed. The U.S. Attorney, a woman named Diaz with eyes like a hawk, is not playing. The evidence will show, Your Honor, she says in a packed federal courtroom, a multi-year conspiracy to manipulate markets, defraud investors, and illegally eliminate competition, orchestrated by Mr. Graham Lockwood, with the knowledge and support of his wife, Lillian Lockwood, and the active participation of associates, including Mr. Miles Vale. I am there, Jasper insisted. I am not a defendant. I am an observer, a victim, the new CEO of Vale Dynamics, the company that was targeted. I watch as Diaz lays out the skeleton of the case. It is my anonymous summary. Fleshed out with the evidence they seized in the raid, the shell companies, the wire transfers, it is the Lockwood Vale case file, being reassembled, piece by piece, in public. My father and mother are sitting at the defense table. Graham looks diminished, smaller, his arrogance is gone, replaced by a gray, simmering rage. Lillian is a statue of ice, her face a perfect, tragic mask. They do not look at me. Then, Miles's new criminal lawyer, Kincaid is gone, replaced by a notorious bare-knuckle brawler named Russo, gets his turn. Your Honor, Russo says, my client, Mr. Vale, is not a conspirator here. He is a victim, just like everyone else. He was played by Mr. Lockwood, and played by her. He points at me, sitting in the gallery. The prosecution is missing the real story. Russo booms. The person who knew everything, the person who had the motive, the person who ran a data fraud company, who charmed her way into Dorian Vale's will, and who is now trying to pin her own complicity on my client. I would like to submit into evidence these emails. He hands a packet to the judge and the prosecutor. These are emails from Ms. Avery Lockwood, sent from her corporate account at Luminar Ledger, to a private server used by the conspirators. They show, clear as day, that Ms. Lockwood was aware of these transactions, that she knew about the accident of the rival CEO, and that she was silent. She was a co-conspirator who got cold feet and is now trying to sell her partners out to save herself. I stop breathing. I watch Diaz, the prosecutor, read the emails. I see her brow furrow. This is a blindside. Jasper leans in, whispering, This is fabrication. He is desperate. The judge looks over the packet. These are serious allegations. Mr. Russo? They are the truth. Your Honor, the entire case rests on Ms. Lockwood, and she is dirtier than any of them. The court recesses for an hour. I am rushed to a private room. Jenna is already on a video call on my laptop, her face grim. I got the packet from Diaz's office, Jenna says, typing frantically. Russo is a pig, but he is not stupid. These are good fakes. Fakes? I whisper. Look, she says, screen sharing. Here is the email header. It says it is from a Lockwood@LuminarCorp.com. What was your email? Avery? Avery, Lockwood@LuminarLedger.com, I say. Exactly. He is not using your real email. He is using a typo-squatted domain. He registered LuminarCorp.com 3 weeks ago, through a proxy in Panama. He built a fake email server, wrote these fake emails, and backdated them. He is fabricating evidence. Avery, he is trying to frame you. The cold, clear rage is back. He is trying to do to me exactly what my father did. And he is doing it on the fly, in the middle of a federal hearing, Jasper says, his eyes dark. This is criminally stupid and incredibly dangerous. The door opens. Prosecutor Diaz enters. Her face is unreadable. Ms. Lockwood, she says, I have a few questions for you. Off the record, for now. I just nod. Did you know about this? Are these emails real? No, I say. I point to the screen. My engineer just ran the header. They are fakes. They are from a fraudulent domain. Registered by Miles's team 3 weeks ago, this is an active attempt to fabricate evidence and frame me. Diaz looks at Jenna's screen. She is silent for a full minute. I can see the gears turning. She is recalculating. I see, she says. Mr. Russo has just made a very serious mistake. She closes her notebook. But this complicates things. His entire defense is now going to be painting you as the villain. I have the data from the raid. I have the summary you sent. But I am missing the connective tissue, the why. I am missing the original file. This is it. The moment I knew would come. I know you have it, Ms. Lockwood, Diaz says, her voice quiet. Dorian Vale's file. The press has been speculating about it for weeks. I need it, and I need you to testify. I need you to walk that jury through what happened to you, from the beginning. I look at Jasper. He just nods. The choice is made. When court resumes, there is a new, electric tension in the room. The prosecution calls Avery Vale Lockwood to the stand. I walk forward. I feel my father's eyes on me, burning into my back. I feel my mother's hatred. I do not look at them. I swear the oath. Diaz is meticulous. She does not start with the file. She starts 10 years ago. Ms. Lockwood, can you tell the court about your first professional encounter with Vale Dynamics? I tell the story, the anonymous report, the stock manipulation, the fund I identified, Lockwood Equity. So, 10 years ago, Diaz summarizes, you, as a junior analyst, flagged your own father's firm for illegal activity? Yes. Let us move to 6 months ago, the collapse of your company, Luminar Ledger. Objection, Russo shouts. Relevance? This is a civil matter. It is entirely relevant, Your Honor, Diaz counters. As it forms the motive for the conspiracy against her, the prosecution intends to prove that Ms. Lockwood was framed by the defendants to silence her. The judge overrules. I tell the story, the lawsuit, the planted data, the night I was disowned, Graham's voice on the phone, the Vale Holdings deal. And then, Diaz asks the question, tell us about your meeting with Dorian Vale. I tell them about the file, the Lockwood Vale case file. And what did you do with this file, Ms. Lockwood? Diaz asks. I wrestled with it, I say, my voice quiet, honest. It contained evidence that Mr. Lockwood and Mrs. Lockwood had committed terrible crimes. It also contained the proof that they had framed me. Did you go to the police? No. Did you go to the press? Did you leak it? No. Did you, she asks, her voice rising, go to Mr. Lockwood and try to blackmail him? Did you try to leverage it for your own gain? No, I say firmly. I could not. It was not justice. It was just revenge, or a transaction. I did not want to be a part of their world. I just wanted to stop them. So what did you do? I sent an anonymous summary of the financial crimes, with names redacted, to your office. I believe that is what started this investigation, and I gave my parents one last chance. I met them. I offered them a way to go quietly, to retire, and put their money into a victim's fund in exchange for my silence. And what was their response? They laughed at me, they called me delusional, and Mr. Lockwood told me I was not his daughter. A murmur goes through the court. I can feel my father's stare, like a physical weight. And Mr. Miles Vale? Diaz pivots. Did you offer him the file? No. He tried to get it from me. He tried to break into my safe. When that failed, he tried to trick me, pretending my family was my weakness. He wanted the file to destroy my father, his former partner. Objection! Russo screams, his face purple. This is speculation. Slander. She is lying. She is not, Diaz says, her voice like steel. The prosecution has one final piece of evidence, Your Honor, just obtained this morning. She nods to the tech table. This is a recording from a federally approved wiretap, placed on Mr. Graham Lockwood's phone 2 weeks ago. The call is with Mr. Miles Vale. The courtroom goes dead silent. Miles, at his table, looks like he has seen a ghost. Graham is staring at Miles, his eyes wide with a look I have never seen before. Betrayal. A voice fills the room. It is Miles's, arrogant, confident. The old man is dead. Graham, the game has changed. Your daughter is the problem now. Graham's voice, cold. She has the file, does not she? That senile fool gave it to her. Of course he did. But she is weak. She is sentimental. She will not use it. But this lawsuit is a problem. We need to discredit her. Now. Graham's voice again. What are you suggesting? And Miles, the words that seal his fate. The girl thinks she is clean? We just need to fake a few logs. Tie her into it. Create a new narrative. I have my team building a fake email server right now. By the time we are done, the feds will think she was the ringleader. A gasp goes through the courtroom. The recording clicks off. Russo is pale, speechless. He slumps into his chair. I look at my father. Graham Lockwood is not looking at Russo. He is not looking at the judge. He is staring at Miles Vale, his partner, the man he was conspiring with, the man who was, in that single phone call, preparing to throw him and my mother to the wolves to save himself. The hatred in my father's eyes is pure, distilled poison, but it is not for me. It is for Miles. He finally realizes, in this public courtroom, that the adult's game he was so proud of has no rules, no loyalty, and he just got played by the one person he thought was his partner. He sees a flicker of dawning, horrified regret. He realizes he backed the wrong horse. He betrayed his daughter. For this, the court will recess, the judge says, his voice shaky, to consider these developments. Russo is already on his feet, pleading for a mistrial, for a delay, but the judge just waves him off. It is over. Miles's entire defense is not just broken, it is a smoking crater. I step down from the stand, my legs shaking. I walk past the defense table. I do not look at my parents. I leave the courtroom, pushing through the wall of silent, stunned reporters. I am exhausted, drained, but I feel clear. The enemy is not just my father. It is not just Miles. It is the whole rotten system they built, the one that treats people like numbers, truth like a commodity, and family like leverage. I get in the car with Jasper. What now? He asks. Now, I say, watching the courthouse disappear behind us. Now, I stop playing defense. I'm going to publicly announce the new Vale Foundation, and I'm going to hold a press conference. I am going to stand up, in front of the world, and I'm going to tell them the entire, unvarnished truth, whatever mask they want to put on me. The victim, the avenger, the Ice Queen. I do not care anymore. As long as the truth is the only thing they have left to write. The federal hearing has become a full-blown trial. The recording of Miles and my father conspiring was the tipping point. The judge consolidated the cases, and the U.S. Attorney's Office moved with lightning speed. Now, I am back on the stand. Prosecutor Diaz stands before me, holding a copy of the Lockwood Vale case file, the one I finally, formally, handed over. Ms. Vale Lockwood, she says, the new name echoing with authority in the packed courtroom. We have entered this file into evidence as Prosecution Exhibit 1. Can you please confirm for the court what this document is? I can, I say, my voice clear, carried by the microphone. It is the complete research file compiled by Dorian Vale and his team over the last decade. It details a criminal conspiracy led by Graham Lockwood. And as an expert in financial data analysis, the founder of Luminar Ledger, can you explain what this file shows? I turn to the judge, to the jury. It shows a pattern, a sophisticated, predatory pattern. It shows how Lockwood Equity used a network of offshore shell companies to systematically acquire and strip assets from competitors. It shows how they paid for security logistics to remove obstacles. It shows how they manipulated stock prices through coordinated, illegal trades. I point to a projection on the screen. It is a page from the file, a complex flowchart of money. This, for example, is not a series of legitimate investments. This is a 5-step money laundering process, designed to hide the proceeds from the illegal short selling of a rival's stock. They are using a Cayman Islands entity to pay a consulting fee to a firm in Panama, which then buys art at an inflated price from a gallery owned by a third conspirator, who then... I spend the next 2 hours doing what I was born to do. I am not a daughter. I am not a victim. I am an analyst. I am a teacher. I walk them through the code. I explain the data. I connect the dots, one by one, with cold, irrefutable logic. I take my father's complex, shadowy world, and I drag it, kicking and screaming, into the harsh, sterile light of the courtroom. The defense is desperate. My father's new lawyer, his old one is now a co-defendant, rises for the cross-examination. His strategy is simple: make me the villain. Ms. Vale Lockwood, he says, his voice dripping with synthetic sympathy. This must be incredibly difficult for you, to sit here and systematically destroy your own father, your own mother. Tell me, Ms. Lockwood, do you hate your parents? The courtroom holds its breath. This is the moment, the emotional trap. I look at him. I do not look at my parents. I am not here to talk about my feelings. I am here to talk about facts. I insist, he shouts. This is a crime of passion, is it not? A daughter's revenge. You hate them for disowning you, and now you are using a dead man's file to burn them to the ground. Is that not the truth? I pause. I look at the jury. I look at him. And I finally say the only thing that matters. I do not hate my parents, I say, my voice low and clear. But I hate what they believe. I hate the lesson they tried to teach me my entire life, that people are just numbers on a balance sheet, that employees are acceptable losses, that pensions are just rounding errors, that truth is something you manage with a PR firm. What I hate is a system that taught me to see other human beings as risk. Today, I am refusing that lesson. The lawyer has no follow-up. He sits down. The rest of the case is a landslide. Diaz piles on the evidence against Miles, showing the direct wire transfers from his offshore accounts, proceeds from the very schemes my father was running. He was not just a partner. He was on the payroll. His fabrication of the emails is the final nail in his coffin. While the trial screams toward its inevitable conclusion, I have another war to fight. The board of directors at Vale Dynamics is in a state of panic. The company's name is being dragged through the mud, tied to the biggest financial scandal in a decade. I call an all-company, all-hands-on-deck emergency meeting. I stand in the massive atrium of the Vale headquarters, in front of thousands of employees, with the board of directors sitting in the front row, their faces grim. I know you are all worried, I say, my voice broadcast across the campus. You are reading the headlines. You are seeing the name Vale next to the name Lockwood. You are worried about your jobs, about your pensions. I look at the board, and some of you are worried that I'm just a new, more volatile version of my father. You are wondering if I am here to continue the game, just under a new name. I walk to the center of the atrium. Let me be perfectly, absolutely clear. The game is over. As of this moment, Vale Dynamics is implementing a complete, zero-tolerance policy for financial manipulation of any kind. We will not do business with shadow companies. We will not use offshore accounts to hide transactions. We will not prioritize a single percentage point of profit over the law or over our people. A director in the front row shifts. Ms. Vale Lockwood, that is a noble sentiment, but this company exists to create shareholder value. This company exists, I cut him off, my voice ringing with an authority I did not know I possessed. Because Dorian Vale built it to last, and it will not last if it is rotten from the inside. We will lead in engineering, in manufacturing, and now, we will lead in transparency. Anyone in this company, from the board level down, who believes that playing the game is just the cost of business, can clear out their desk, today. The silence is absolute. And one more thing. The Vale Charitable Trust will be renamed, effective immediately. It is the Dorian Nova Justice Fund. Nova for new, and justice for what comes next. A significant portion of this company's profits, starting this quarter, will be used to fund a new mission, providing legal and financial support to the victims of corporate and financial fraud. And we will be establishing the largest whistleblower protection fund in the country. I am not just cleaning house. I am turning the house into a fortress for the other side. I am taking the money my father tried to steal and using it to fund an army of people just like me. The news from the courthouse comes that afternoon. It is not a deliberation. It is a capitulation. The verdicts are read, one by one, broadcast live. Graham Lockwood, guilty, on all major counts, racketeering, conspiracy, securities fraud, wire fraud. The judge, citing the callous and predatory nature of the crimes, sentences him to the maximum, 25 years in federal prison. Lillian Lockwood, guilty, for her role in the cover-ups, conspiracy, and money laundering. Her mask finally, completely shatters as she is sentenced. 10 years. Miles Vale, guilty, for conspiracy, wire fraud, and the fabrication of evidence in a federal court. His arrogance has vanished, replaced by a pasty, slack-jawed terror. 15 years. The cameras are a storm of flashing lights as they are let out. I am standing on the courthouse steps, having just given my final impact statement to the press. My father has walked past me in handcuffs. He is no longer the titan of finance. He is a broken, old man in an expensive suit that suddenly looks too big for him. He stops. He turns. He looks at me. It is not the look of hatred I saw in the hotel room. It is not the look of contempt I have known my whole life. It is a look of dazed, hollow confusion. It is the look of a man who has run his calculations 1,000 times and just realized he missed the most important variable. He realizes he has not just been beaten by the law. He has been beaten by the daughter he called a liability. He has been beaten by the very sentimental code he despised. Then he is gone. A dozen microphones are shoved in my face. The questions are a chaotic roar. Avery, how does it feel? How does it feel to put your own mother and father in prison? Are you the hero or the villain here? I stop. I look directly into the main camera, the one broadcasting live. I did not put them anywhere, I say, my voice steady, cutting through the noise. They chose that path a long time ago. I just chose not to follow them. I walk through the crowd. I do not look back. Weeks later, I go to the visiting room at the Federal Detention Center. It is not for them. It is for me. My father is in a dull gray jumpsuit. He is silent. He just stares at the table. Lillian is on the other side of the glass, her face puffy from crying, her platinum hair now showing dark roots. But someone else is there. Luca, My brother. He is the one who arranged the visit. Lillian just weeps, her hand on the glass. How could you, Avery? How could you do this to your own family? You were never a family, I say, not cruelly, just stating a fact. You were a corporation, and I was a bad investment. Graham does not speak. He just sits, a hollow shell. I am quitting the firm, Avery, Luca whispers, his eyes red. He will not look at me. What is left of it? I saw the evidence. I saw what they did. To you. To all those people. I do not know. I am going to start over. I have to. I look at my brother, the golden boy, finally seeing the rot beneath the gold. It is the first, tiniest, most painful spark of hope I have seen in my family. I have to go, I say. I stand up. I look at my mother, and then my father. For the record, I am using the name Avery Vale Lockwood on the foundation. Lillian looks up, confused. Why? After he told you not to? Because he does not own it, I say. And I need to remember. I need to remember that the same name can be a symbol of corruption and a symbol of justice, that the light and the dark are in all of us. It is just about which one we choose to feed. I leave them. The final scene is not a courtroom. It is not a prison. It is me, months later, standing on the lawn of the Vale estate. The air is clear, the sky a bright, cold blue. The new corporate logo is being installed on the sign at the main drive, Vale Dynamics, and beneath it, a new corporate tagline I wrote myself, inspired by anonymous truth. I walk inside, to the study, Dorian's study, my study. I open my laptop. I log in, not to the Vale corporate network, but to the secure internal server of the Dorian Nova Justice Fund. The dashboard is live, the fund is active, and in the queue, there is a list. New whistleblower submission. Case 1001. Insurance fraud. Healthcare sector. New whistleblower submission. Case 1002. Pension theft. Manufacturing. New whistleblower submission. Case 1003. Data manipulation. Social media. A whole new list of ordinary people, trapped in the same games I was. A whole new list of anonymous reports. I know I did not win. Not in the storybook sense. I lost my family. I lost the naive part of myself that believed the world was fair. I lost my past. But as I sit down, I realize I kept the only thing that ever really mattered. The one thing my parents could not take, and Dorian could not give. The ability to choose, the strength to look at the truth, no matter how ugly, and to not look away. I click on the first file. I pull my keyboard closer, and I begin to work. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I am so curious to know your thoughts. Please comment below and let us all know where you are listening from. I would love to connect with you. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to Lila Revenge Stories. Give this video a like, and show your support by hitting that hype button so more people can hear this story.